All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your patience. We'll go ahead and get started. I'll call the meeting to order at 6:05. If you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I think you have a second mail, Trinity.
Thank you. And City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes, thank you. Councilmember Trinity Burris, present. Councilmember Kim Douglas,
Present.
Councilmember Larry Hilberg,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Caroline McCauley. Here. And Mayor Sean Lohman.
Here.
Mayor,
you.
there is a quorum.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And can I get a motion to approve the agenda order?
I'll move approval of the agenda order.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. And do we have any new conflicts of interest? No, no changes. All right.
No change.
Now we'll move on to the consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be approved by one blanket motion with a council vote unless a council member or a member of the public requests an item be pulled from consent for discussion. Items pulled will be addressed after council completes the consent calendar vote and will require a separate motion. Are there any items that the council or public would like to pull from the consent calendar? No?
I was just curious, we're missing several meetings worth of minutes. Should we expect them sometime soon? I think the last three meetings.
Councilmember Hilberg, I know I have the September 14th minutes. I still need to turn around. And I'm not sure about the other two, December, not December. No, I think we have, didn't we do all?
The only one we have here is August, and we had two meetings in September and one in early this month. So there's three that, anyway, I hope those are coming along soon.
They're coming along. I'm sorry for the delay on those.
Thank you. All right. Seeing no items that need to be pulled, can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Righty. And that will bring us on to agency reports. Placer County Sheriff.
Good evening. How's everybody doing tonight? Good. Sergeant Toby Williams, Placer County Sheriff's Office. Sorry I wasn't here last meeting. We had a fire in Auburn that took a lot of our resources. So we'll kind of start from the top as far as last month's statistics go. In the month of August, we had 140 total incidents, 17 reports taken, 17 calls related to transients, and 25 traffic stops. Within the month, we also had 7 arrests for a variety of things. I know transients are becoming an issue over the last few weeks between the folks coming in and out of town along the tracks, as well as some of the, I guess you can say, the mainstays, the folks that have been here for a while. We're trying to look at some alternatives to try to figure out what we can do outside of regular trespass letters, minor arrests, if we can get that going, just basically trying to get them to understand that there are services available. We can't force it upon them, but at least try to get them to quit being a nuisance, if in fact they are. Carpenter Road is coming along. CHP and our POP unit has worked with the county and some state programs, and we were able to provide funding to get rid of a couple of cars and a boat that were down there. They're still working on some of the properties that are down there that are causing some of the trash buildup. But it's a long and tedious process, but at least we're making progress with it. My deputies last weekend, a few days ago, got somebody off of railroad property here that comes through the city. They got into a fight with a guy who was staying in one of their tool sheds, for lack of a better term. So he went to jail. And I think think that's about it. A lot of extra patrols up through Iowa Hill and along the freeways coming up to coming in and out of Grass Valley. We're trying to be a little bit more proactive with some of the traffic enforcement and some of the folks that are coming down from out of county and creating some issues. So with that, are there any questions?
I just have a brief one. I
Yes.
remember a year or two ago, somebody from the Placer County Sheriff's Department came to the meeting and was being put in place to help homeless people, connect somehow
Mm-hmm.
and find help. Is that somebody that you work with? Does that still happen?
The problem-oriented policing deputies, we have 4 in our agency that do that. The issue is there's a lot of kind of logistics that go involved with at least finding housing or temporary shelters, services of that nature. The biggest issue is that they have to be residents of Placer County. So it is still happening, but a lot of the transients are in fact that transient. So they're from out of state. They have no connection to Placer County. So we can offer direction to get services from their home county, but oftentimes they don't want to go. So they're trying, but it's again, whether or not they want the services. So
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
These particular ones that I had a problem with on Saturday.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Do not want that.
Okay.
So, no matter what,
Mm-hmm.
they don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we need to figure out a way to get a better response as businesses downtown that are dealing with this, because I had to move 2 of them along from in front of my business.
Mm-hmm.
One was half dressed and screaming and yelling.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
My customers were trying to maneuver in and away from them,
Mhm.
or bypass them completely.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they were asked to move down, they did. But they moved down to in front of the fast sign then.
Okay.
Sat down in the middle of the sidewalk, in the doorway of that business,
Mhm.
which I know is not up. But it's besides,
Right.
because they were drinking, screaming and yelling,
Mm-hmm.
singing at the top of her lungs, smoking cigarettes, and I was sitting at the picnic table in front of our business,
Mhm.
and I could smell that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't know for sure if they were drinking, and I knew they were smoking. I could smell the alcohol at a point, and I thought, this is ridiculous, they must be drinking. And so I walked by, had the recorder on my phone, and the recording of them, yes, they were
Mm-hmm.
sitting there in this area. People were having to go out and around with their kids and everybody else to
Mhm.
get by them. And I called, I know there were several other calls,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody responded
Okay.
at all. This is becoming an issue continually.
Okay. So in regards to that particular call, there were 2 people who called in to dispatch. And we had a 700-person protest down in Auburn. Okay. And we had a felony warrant suspect up in Forest Hill, which took all the resources. I'm not offering any excuses, but that's the reason why we were delayed. We had a sergeant come up. Yeah, and talk to him. Okay. Yes, it was 2 hours later. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Okay. We're working with the lieutenants and captains to try to come up with a different kind of a deployment strategy for different things. Okay. That's the best answer I can give you right now.
That all I'm asking is that.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. No, 100%. Mm-hmm.
Across the street and seeing a lot of activity behind that building there. And
Behind along the. Oh, okay. Got it. Mm-hmm.
everybody one
Mm-hmm.
and people wise over the last, I'd say 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I do know we had one person arrested for trying to break into the antique store down there. I don't know if you're aware of that. He tried to break into the antique store, just from us.
Okay.
I got a call saying, hey, be careful when in.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm just seeing so much more activity. And then it's starting to come from business in this town.
Mhm.
There's just, it's starting to pick back up. I don't want to see people waiting, coming down.
What time of day do you see all this activity?
Stuff, in the early afternoon, especially on Saturdays.
Okay.
They have no business being planted right in front of the businesses.
No, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's not okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, one else and one night,
Right.
so, you know, if you want to talk about that. Probably that.
Yeah. Sergeant Shobos knows. Yeah. So, and I've been in contact with him. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. So,
Thank you.
yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
we'll be working together to help try and solve this sticky situation. It's tough. People coming in and out, local people. So we'll get it worked on.
Mhm. Yep.
Thank you.
Sure thing.
Any other questions? No? All right, great. You're good. Sorry. Thank you, Sergeant. CAL FIRE. Thank you, Chief Salas.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Nick Salas. I'm one of the battalion chiefs here in the East Division. So just to basically brief you on some stuff, one of the big things that I'm sure you've noticed that from our last meeting is that burn season is in full effect now. That kicked off on October 17th. So we went to burn permit required burning. And so, you know, for all the folks that are conducting burning, just make sure that you have a valid burn permit right now. And anything that's bigger than your standard 4x4 piles, you can still burn those. You just need to ensure that you select the correct permit for that, which is going to be an LE5, or if you're looking to do broadcast burning, do an LE7. And if you have any of those projects, just please reach out to the local fire station or any of us, and we'll come out to your property. We can help you out. We can get you in contact with like Placer RCD or some of those other folks that are assisting homeowners with that those operations. In the unit, we still remain at our peak staffing, and we will remain as such until December 15th before we start scaling down. The only thing that's going to change for us is our aircraft, specifically the 2 helicopters that we have on contract right now. It's that blue Firehawk that took the place of the 212, the Bell 212 that was sitting there. They had to get fly that thing to Canada actually for some maintenance. So we've got that one until the 28th of this month. So both that and the Sikorsky that was up at Truckee this whole summer, which is now down at Marysville until the 28th, will both go off contract. And so we'll lose those guys, and we have not heard any update from region regarding the fixed wings out of Grass Valley. So we'll still have the 2 tankers and the air tac up there until they tell us that they're going in for maintenance. Significant incidents that we've had in the Colfax area. Unfortunately, the 2 big ones that I wanted to brief everybody on tonight was the fatality vehicle accident here on 80 going westbound, basically just across from Hills Flat Lumber. There was a pregnant female and then 3 children that were in that vehicle, and one of the children did succumb to their injuries at the scene. And then we did have a fatality structure fire off of Pinecroft on the 12th. So both those incidents, obviously very unfortunate, hard on the families, hard on the first responders. The one there in Pinecroft, we were met with like probably one of the worst cases of like of hoarder-like conditions that we've ever seen. So that was both those were some difficult calls. And then, you know, to end it on a little bit higher note, we are going to have a big presence at the Falcons Heroes football game this upcoming Friday. So we're going to have a big presence there. And then one of our local captains is going to get the football from yeah, for the game. So other than that, I don't have anything else unless you guys have any other questions. Yes, sir.
Just because the weather's getting colder now and everything. Was that because of wood burning stoves or a fire out that you guys are gonna start warning people not to do at this time?
Yeah, it was the Pinecroft one. It's they still haven't determined the exact cause. It was not due to like any burning inside of the house. They basically kind of narrowed it down to what they believe may have been a faulty electric heater. But there was still so much stuff in that house. They're still having to basically kind of dig out that area. And so the exact cause, but it wasn't, I can say that they didn't have any evidence of actual wood burning or any of that kind of stuff in there. Absolutely.
Great. Thank you, Chief.
Okay, thank you, guys.
All right. Nobody from Highway Patrol tonight. Any nonprofits tonight? We give a report. Aaron.
Good evening, Erin Newington with the Historic Colfax Downtown Association. It's great to see a full house tonight. I just wanted to let you know that we have launched community partnerships. And basically what this is sponsorship opportunities for businesses, building owners, or the public to sponsor our mission in what we're doing in the downtown area. I don't know if any of you came to our Pints and Groove concert. It was a very big success, and we want to go ahead and continuing bringing great events to the area, and these sponsorships help us fund that. So in regards to the concerts, we're looking to launch a 2026 concert series. We're in the planning process of that and creating the dates and what that might look like. We've created a fundraising campaign on our website at historiccolfax.com. Basically, it'll allow you to make a donation to the cause. We've already raised several $100s. We're super excited about that. Signed up multiple community partnerships as well. So that's exciting that people are gathering around and supporting the cause. So we're super grateful for that. So stay tuned for the concert series rollout. We, for those of you who know, might know that we applied for the Levitt grant. It is a multi-year music grant that would allow us to bring concerts to Colfax. We find out on November 28th if we get that grant. That would basically give us approximately $120,000 over 3 years of matched funds to bring to Colfax. But we're so inspired by how many people gathered around us in the community and the sponsors that we were able to get for the concerts that we put on. Regardless of whether we get that grant or not, we're going to go ahead and launch some kind of a music series. So will it be a professional grade Levitt music series grant? We don't know till November 28th, but regardless, we'll have music. We do have an upcoming event, the Colfax Bazaar. That's going to be happening on November 8th. It's going to be happening at the Fruit Exchange building. It is a flea market of sorts, treasure hunting opportunities for those of you who love that kind of thing. Last event brought in hundreds of people, many of which were new to the area, so we were super excited about that. And we do have early bird access, so if you want to be the person there first to get first dibs on the good stuff, it's a $5 donation to our association. Otherwise, it's free. Let's see. So last week I was able to attend the Placer County 2025 conference. I was really grateful to get an invitation from Placer County to be in the room. It was a very good conference. We had leaders from multiple cities across the county. So we had leaders from Roseville, Rockland, Lincoln, and Auburn represented. And it was all about how basically what did they call it? Adapting to shifting business landscape. So it was all about how the world has changed since COVID, how each city was adjusting to that change. There were certain things like Auburn, which I kind of want to at some point approach the council about. They are looking at creating entertainment zones. So basically when there's an event happening that you could take, for example, like our concert, we had a designated zone where we could have the bar area and people could have a cocktail or enjoy themselves. But if they had to walk to the public bathroom, they would have to leave their drink there and walk and go make that happen for themselves. But this zoning or special event, what do they refer to it as? Entertainment zone on specified days would allow people to wander Main Street. That might be good or bad, but I think if it's around a particular event, it might give us some freedom there. So just want to throw that out there. Also, Lincoln talked about form-based codes and mixed-use properties and preserving character, but coming up with different uses for these buildings. So, and in Rockland or Roseville said the same thing. They have these big giant buildings and they're currently vacant. And so they're trying to recreate the usage. And so they were getting really creative with what that might look like. And a lot of the conversation was about being willing to change the zoning and reimagine what that space could be. Oh, what else? I think that's pretty much it. I was super grateful to be there. And as always, our mission is to represent Colfax at a high level and attract opportunities and grants. So we'll keep doing what we do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, any other nonprofits? Caroline?
Hi, Caroline from the Wrecking Crew Bakery, and I wanted to give a reminder of a couple things we have coming up that the Colfax 3rd of July and the Colfax Railroad Days are sponsoring. We have a chili cook-off coming up this Sunday between 12 and 2. It's $10 to taste, and all the proceeds go towards our 3rd of July, 4th of July fireworks. Like to see the community come out and taste some really good chili. We got quite a few people that signed up for it, and last year's chilies were really good. We had a good turnout. We'd like to see that happen again. And then the other thing we have coming up is we have the trunk or treat that we are also sponsoring, the 3rd of July committee and the Railroad Days for our community kids, and that doesn't cost to join, and we do have quite a few people signed up for that. But we are also doing a Power Wheels trunk or treat for people's kids to get involved in. So if your kid has a Power Wheels, they're welcome to decorate it and throw it in with the trunk or treat cars and come downtown and have a good time with the kids, a safe environment, and collect candy and enjoy a community gathering. We are taking donations for candy at the Wrecking Crew Bakery. If anybody gets a chance to drop a bag of candy by, last year we ran out real fast within an hour. So we've got a few donations so far and we'd like to see more, but other than that, that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other nonprofits? Thank you.
Hi, all. I'm Rebecca Mazzio. I'm on the Bianchini board, and I'm here because we have 2 council members, those that don't know, that are on our board, and their terms are up. So we need to have new council members or the council members renew their terms. I just want to express a little bit of concern. I know Caroline is on a bunch of other committees, and it kind of seems like last meeting, she was really interested in having nonprofit funding go to Winterfest. And I feel like her appointment might present a conflict of interest for the Bianchini board. And I would like her to not be on the Bianchini board again. That's my statement.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other nonprofits? No. All right, we don't have any presentations tonight, and we do have a public hearing For Gordon's Gym, design review permit and variance. Kathy, would you like to introduce the item?
Good evening. I'm Kathy Pease, a planning consultant to the city. This item before you is a design review permit and a request for a variance. Next slide. That's okay. Great. So the location of this facility is at Oak and Auburn Street on the north west corner. Next slide. This would construct a new freestanding gym at 159 Auburn Street. There'd be an enclosed area for an office, different operations, aerobics, martial arts, and things like that. The open gym area would allow for weightlifting and aerobic training. There are retaining walls that would be proposed on the north and east elevation because there is some grade to the site. There's a 6% slope that would require grading to even out the site. Access to the site is from a driveway that would be off of Oak Street. Next slide. So this does include a variance for reduced side and rear setbacks. This is zoned mixed use 2 in the zoning district, and normally 0 setbacks would be required, but the zoning ordinance requires additional setbacks when adjacent to residential. So the residential setbacks for multifamily high density locating to the north are 10 feet for the front and 5 feet for the side and 10 feet for the rear setback. This project proposes a 4-foot setback and a rear setback of 4 feet. Next slide. And then next slide after this. Great. So on parking, normally 1 space per 150 square feet of weight room area is typically required. So normally this would be 16 on-site spaces. Due to site constraints, the applicant is proposing 5 on-site spaces, and then 13 spaces would be available on the street on both Auburn and Oak Street. However, because the site is within a 1/4 mile of the transit center, no on-site parking is required. So while it typically, if it weren't in the downtown area, would have a higher parking requirement, we did feel that this was a sufficient proposal. There are mature redwoods that would need to likely be removed. New landscaping includes Japanese maples and 3 cedar trees, as well as shrubs and ground cover. Next slide. Like I indicated, the site is zoned mixed use, and it also has a mixed use general plan designation. This is intended to provide a mix of commercial and residential uses. Personal services such as a gym are permitted by right. Next slide. This is an elevation of what the gym would look like. Next slide. You will see on the north-facing side, there are no windows proposed, and that was done intentionally because that's adjacent to the residential. This color didn't quite come out on the PowerPoint slide. The grayish hue is a little bit more green, but it would be green with red accents. The project qualifies for an exemption from the Environmental Quality Act. It is intended to promote infill development within an urbanized area. This exemption allows small new construction that is below 10,000 square feet. And we did look and run a vehicle miles traveled analysis, and it showed that there would be no traffic impact. Next slide. So with that, we are recommending approval of a resolution to allow the design review permit to be approved and a variance to reduce the required setbacks and allow construction of a 6,890 square foot facility. Happy to answer any questions. So typically you'd, at this point, ask if the applicant wanted to say something.
I saw Gordon was here. Gordon, do you have any comments on this? All right, perfect. All right.
Does.
Yeah, thanks. All right, I will open the public hearing and council, do you have any questions regarding this?
I just had a
Any-
quick question actually for Gordon. If you don't mind coming up to the podium, sorry to pull you up there anyway. So my question is regarding parking. I understand that, and I'm happy with the proposal. I think inevitably what I would expect to see is that there will be some kind of parking impact on the neighboring church. Have you already worked with them to come to some understanding about weekday access to their parking lot? Because I'm assuming out of convenience, people will likely want to use the lot.
We have been in discussion, but we haven't come to any conclusion.
Okay, but the intention there is that you guys will.
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. That was my only question.
Any other questions?
No, nothing from the council. I had one question. The neighbors haven't, or have had time to, have been contacted about the project and the setback changes, and there's no objections. I didn't hear any objections, sorry, Ken.
Actually, due to a noticing error, I had to send the notice out twice. So if you remember a couple of meetings ago, you did have folks that showed up. Unfortunately, we had an error, so we double noticed. So folks got two sets of notices. I haven't received any phone calls or email or any inquiries, so we're assuming there aren't concerns, but if anyone wants to.
Everybody got a chance to voice them at least, so, all right, great. Thank you.
And if I recall, I think we had two of the neighbors that came last meeting and said they were in favor of it, I believe is what.
Yeah, and spoke for
Yeah.
another, so, yes, everybody I've heard from has been in favor, so. All right, do we have any comment from the public on this item?
Thank you, Mayor. There are no members of the public signed up to speak.
Perfect. Oh,
Comes Tom. Love it.
an unregistered comment.
Tom Parnham, city resident. I think this is great. Put something in that vacant lot. The city wants to help businesses grow and this will help. So I'm in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Oh, Carla?
That's me. Hi, I was like, what? That's what's going into the dirt lot near me? Okay, here's my concern. Oh, by the way, Carla Jameson, 21 East Oak Street. So we already have an issue with people that are parking on both sides of my street when there's events, and that creates an issue with ingress egress. So is that going to be addressed? Will that be accommodated so I don't get trapped, my neighbors don't get trapped?
To clarify, you're talking about illegal parking that is
Yeah.
blocking. Okay.
Right under the no
So
parking
that's a good
signs.
question for us to address with our sheriff's office once this is in place, that we would make sure that
That's
there's
just, yeah,
some enforcement there.
that or they'll block our driveway. So-
Yeah, we'll make sure we keep an eye on that, have good signage and lines painted on the road.
Feel besides kids making messes and stuff like that, but that was my only concern.
Maybe what we can do is put some new curb paint down to make sure it's clear that there's a parking area that.
We'll make sure it's enforceable if there are any parking issues.
Well, I got cameras too.
Perfect. Thank you. Right. Lynn? How's it going?
Montana, 121 South Auburn Street. Second time here, because I didn't receive I did receive the second letter, but I didn't receive a letter after the first letter that it wasn't going to happen. But we are more than happy to have Gordon build that gym. We're two houses down, two lots down from where that's going to be built, and hopefully it'll slow the traffic down on South Auburn Street, sir. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment? No? All right, seeing no public comment, no additional public comment, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to council for a vote. Do I have a motion to um adopt the application for variance?
So real quick, I have a comment and then I will make that motion for you. I just want to put this out there to our staff. Perhaps in order to make sure that pedestrian traffic is safe, because we do know there is a speeding issue, we could consider putting a painted, one of the painted illusion speed bumps on South Auburn Street right there because it slows down traffic. So maybe that's just something we can consider later to protect the pedestrians that'll be coming up to the gym. But I will make a motion to approve the resolution as proposed.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes unanimously. Great. All right, we'll move on to item 6, public comment. This is every resident will get the opportunity to address the city council and comment when appropriate for when public comment time is called. You can speak to council on any items not on the agenda. The council cannot act on these items if they're not included on the agenda. However, we can refer them to staff to be included in a future agenda. Please come to the podium and speak clearly. And you have 5 minutes for each comment. Thank you very much. Jackson, how's it going?
Yeah, I don't know. Colfax Skateboard Park, BMX track. I went to the Sierra Vista Community Board meeting. In the project, I got to write a proposal about BMX, about building a track there. And I don't care what you say, Sean, my skateboard park's not going to the ballpark. You're not gonna make it look like that splash pad up there. No, sorry, not gonna do it. As a matter of fact, I'm looking to see if I can take over my dad's 99-year lease where the Marshmallow Rock plant was. If I can, I'll build it there. But it's not going to the ballpark. And
Okay.
as for the plaque, I'd like to talk to the Martian girls and my sister Brianna. As for my brother Danny and my sister Ashley, I care less. But yeah, and then let's go back July 1st, 1996. When we lost our police department, I got hit in the head. There was never a police report. In the 30 years you guys been in charge of Colfax, I've been harassed constantly, other than the 15 years I lived in Alaska. In the 2 months I've been back, I've been harassed about 20 times. For nothing.
Sheriff's office, you can do it outside of public comment.
But if you guys are paying over $1 million for those guys, bring back our own cops. Make Colfax fun again, and thank you.
Thank you, Jackson. All right. I have Diana Suarez on the closed session item. Okay. Let's see.
Tetrol, he's with the American Legion.
Mayor Tetrol?
Mayor, council. About a year ago, I'm sorry, I'm Rick Tatro, Commander American Legion here in Colfax. About a year ago, we came to the Colfax City and to Placer County to get permission to paint the 80-foot long, 8-foot high concrete wall behind the Veterans Memorial Hall. It was kind of boring up there at our main entrance, and every time we went in there, we all looked at the wall and said, it needs a mural. But we needed to get permission from the city and from the county, and we did without any issues. The hardest part was getting the artists and doing the work. And I can proudly say, and I'm honored to say, that we've got it done. And we are going to be having a dedication and ribbon cutting service on Veterans Day at 1 o'clock. We're going to be serving free food, right? Hamburgers and hot dogs, beans, potato salad for about an hour. And then we're going to do the dedication at 2 o'clock. And we've got a fun-filled 2 hours going on. We're going to have the Boy Scouts here, we hope. We still haven't heard back, but ROTC. Sean is going to be there. We expect anywhere from 100 to 200 people. We're really getting the word out. The wall came out beautiful. The artists were local. I had a whole bunch of flyers of looking for artists, and when I went to the art walk in Colfax, I didn't have to go any further than Foxy McLaren. And she just gathered her people together and said, we're going to do this. And they did. And they did it in about 2 months in the heat at night with lights on. So they weren't it wasn't too hot. And last week, my son and I did a mural seal with anti-graffiti on top of that. And the wall is really beautiful. If you don't get a chance to go there on Veterans Day, please come by. You don't even have to get out of your car. You can drive up and look at it. I was thinking about having a drive-through, but that probably wouldn't work. But you can just drive right by it and you can see it. It's beautiful. It's the 6 services, the Navy, Air Force, all 6 of them. I won't go through them. And there's one special to me because my daughter did it and it's in the stairwell. It's just the stairwell needed a mural too. So we got that one done too. So.
I'd like to compliment you on the art. When you say Veterans Day, do you mean the Monday that we celebrate it or?
Tuesday.
So Tuesday, real Veterans Day.
Yep.
And what was the time again?
1 o'clock.
Okay. Thank you.
Quick question, which ROTC unit are you guys having there?
Pardon me?
Which ROTC unit will be attending? Okay. Okay. I may not know one closer, but I do know the one that I was part of once upon a dream. So I can refer to them as well.
Great, thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Got flyers, so seem.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm honored to be invited and present. Thank you very much for that. All right. And Carmen Armstrong? Did Carmen have a comment? Yep, okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Carmen Armstrong, a 23-year resident of Colfax, a city that I fell in love with the minute I moved into it. Even though death insisted my moving out of my home, which I now live in Auburn, I still come to Colfax to shop, to buy my food stuff from the feed store, to visit their parrot. It really pained me to hear the gossip about Christine and Robert receiving special rights to rent the car across the street for their studio. There could be nothing further from the truth. And gossip like that helps no one. If there's any political pressure that they might have received, would have been from me, because I was on the Park and Rec Commission for several years here in Colfax. Knowing that their studio, because I was taking classes from Christina for quite a while, their original studio here was sinking. The building was falling apart. The doors wouldn't open, the windows wouldn't open, but worst of all, the floor was falling in. And they were upstairs. Common sense says, get out, which they did. They couldn't bring their piano out. They had to use a machine to go through the French windows upstairs. They couldn't get it down the stairs. Knowing Christine and Rob as I did, I said to them, you know, I sit here at the city council once in a while. I go out and I see that building over there totally neglected. I wonder if that would fit for your studio. So in turn, I went to the city council and spoke to each member separately. It wasn't political influence. It was just a citizen talking to another citizen who happened to be on the city council. They thought about it. Christine and Rob thought about it. I left it alone. They took it up on themselves to go to the city council and ask for permission to rent it, which they were given. Now, if you call that a political favor, I don't know. I was just a member of the Park and Rec Commission. Okay, now, so they take over the room. It was a mess. Rob took it on himself at his own, even out of his own pocket, to paint the entire cap, roof included. Christina took it on herself to do the inside. Filthy, dirty, dust everywhere. Underneath the car was a pile of garbage that the city had never picked up. Everything that blew up or flew through the air fell underneath that cap. Rob cleaned it up. Eventually the rains came, and lo and behold, all the windows leaked. So what happens? Rob, again, on his own dime, redid every window to match the original windows. Replaced some of the glass maybe, but all of the wood was new. He painted all the hardware as he has done in the past. I just went over there this afternoon and I was sort of dismayed because the roof now needs to be repainted again. Rob is not going to do that. The city did it in 2018, I believe. So it's up to the city to do it again. Why is it that every time we get somebody new in the area, the first thing they focus on is that stupid car up there, when there are so many things that the city really needs? They did away with the swimming pool. Heaven's sakes, what a loss. The streets need to be repaired. Why can't you nice people focus on what is really needed and leave a going concern alone? They have
Thank you.
never missed a payment. They've never asked for money for any other repairs. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So the Rainbow Street music lease is the 10th item on the agenda, so please hold all public comments until that item comes up. Thank you.
The Rainbow Music Company.
lease, I
Yeah.
apologize.
So any other comments on that item, we'll go ahead and hold until.
99 Railroad Street is how it's listed on the agenda, but
Yeah.
it's the Rainbow Music lease. Thank you.
Right. Are there any other public comments for items not on the agenda? No. All right. Then we will move on to item 7. Council and staff business. Cam, you want to kick us off?
I attended the Auburn City Council meeting by Zoom, and it's interesting. Usually we follow them, but this time Auburn is following us. They're adopting our cannabis ordinance and modifying it. So we're, for a change, we're the trendsetters. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Yes, I attended the Sierra Vista Center board meeting last night. And they have a beautiful gym now for which a basketball program is growing. It's a wonderful thing. Their board is growing. They're planning more events, and they have gone from broke as they started from what happened by the previous board, and they now have about $20,000 funds going forward, and they're doing their work with volunteers. So more viable all the time and things are looking great. And there'll be a lot of basketball going on in that old gym going forward and could possibly transform that building. And one last point, that one window at a time, dismayed by the huge bid that they got for fixing all the windows. They're fixing one window at a time with the funds that they have and making good progress doing so. That's it.
Thanks, Larry. Trinity?
I have nothing reportable at this time.
Caroline?
I only had two meetings that I had to attend the last couple weeks. I did have the Air District Control Board meeting, and then we did have a meeting for the Heritage Park, which is the Move Your Caboose project, which is moving right along. They had received the ties that they needed a while back ago, and they actually had the rail delivered last week. So those two very large pieces have been donated, which is fantastic. And now they are working forward on getting the engineer plans to hopefully be able to start putting track in the spring. So it's working.
That's great. All right, I have nothing to report tonight. City manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To report tonight, yeah, I've hired a contractor to help us with city clerk services. Nell is sitting here. Please say hi on your way out. I met with Richard Nepple at the museum to discuss future museum exhibits here in the city hall. So they're trying to put together a list. Attended the supervisor control and data acquisition SCADA upgrade meeting. Project is coming along nicely. They're only down to a few more things to transfer over before that system will be operational. Working on an agreement with RGS to provide accounting services. Had a meeting with Mike Lugan to discuss, from Fort Lee, to discuss the home hardening defensible space grant. Mike has indicated that phase one is almost complete and is waiting for additional information from FEMA and OES before moving forward to phase two. And we're going to have a discussion with that group to discuss the timeline in between that, because there is some indication it might be quite some time. City maintenance has been cleaning up vegetation along South Auburn, cleaning up vegetation around the splash pad area, continuing to train the new maintenance staff members. And the maintenance staff have been doing some drywall repair on the courtyard building. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. All right, that brings us on to item 8, council business. Our first
Could I
item.
ask a couple questions of Ron very quickly? No?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm wondering what, working with building and attorney's notice on noise violation at A&A Concrete, what does that mean, working with? This is under planning for the
Right.
week of September.
You want that? So A&A Concrete's been notified by the city that if they continue running at hours outside those permissible, that they will start being fined every day for noise.
Okay, thank you. And then another question. How could you characterize the progress between the city and the possible Colfax Hotel? It's also under planning. Is there any?
Right. Currently, we're just working out details and sending emails back and forth. They've given no indication of when they're going to start yet.
Okay.
But they seem to be happy. I've got no pushback. We're doing the best we can to work with them to get that project started.
That's wonderful news. And then one other one under engineering. What does Amtrak station coordination mean? Is that their possible plans to do something over on the US Bank side of the tracks for passengers going the other way, or?
Yes, fortunately, we have city engineer Carl Moore with us. He'll jump up and field that one for you.
Yeah, Carl Moore, the city engineer. Amtrak's been in the process for 2 years of designing that station. And then for reasons I don't understand, they didn't coordinate with UP. So they thought they were going and we're going to start construction. This is like a year ago. And then UP was like, we don't even know about this project. So they're still working with UP to get approval on their plans.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Thank you. And A&A Concrete has assured me that they're done with work for the year. So we'll hopefully they won't be keeping anybody up all night in town again. All right, so back to item 8A, our policy initiative to establish disposable foodware impact fee. City manager, you want to kick this one off?
All right. So impact fee program and to fund the litter abatement, stormwater compliance, and frontage road maintenance. Fast food, drive-through, and gas station convenience services are a big plus for the city. These services also create a high volume of single-use packaging and other waste that accumulates along city streets and make their way into the stormwater system. For example, the town of Truckee has successfully adopted a single-use food reduction ordinance imposing a per-item charge on disposable packaging to encourage reuse and fund mitigation. Councilmember Burris has asked that this item be brought before council, and she's available to answer questions.
So I'll
Go ahead.
quickly, the reason I wrote up this particular policy initiative and was hoping to bring in these examples and this much documentation so folks could really see what one of the frameworks would look like is so we could talk about how we can start recovering costs for out-of-town traffic. That's really the core sentiment here, because we have a lot of mitigations that we have to do that are directly attributed to out-of-town people who come, they spend money just on our frontage roads. They don't go to a lot of our local downtown businesses, and they do cause a lot of damage to our roadways. They litter, they cause damage to our storm drain system. And so one of the areas where I was doing research was into some of the initiatives done by Truckee, South Lake Tahoe, and other cities in California and Nevada, where they've been able to successfully recover some of the funds required to mitigate what it means to be an interstate town. Being a gas station stop town for interstate traffic is a heavy burden. And so this is a potential opportunity to have some revenue that would be directly attributed from out-of-town businesses or out-of-town travelers. There are a few caveats that are important here. There are specific provisions that I did propose so that locals would not be subject to potential fees that would be imposed by this. And there also would be a rebate back to the local businesses. So at least 1/3 of funds would go back to those businesses who participate in the program. That way, if they are participating in roadway cleanup and other initiatives that actually help put that volunteer work back into the community, they're not having to bear such a hard burden for administering the program. But to be clear, this is really, although I was very formal in my drafting and I did put quite a bit in here as far as a formal resolution and proposed nexus study and ordinance, this is a starting point, a jumping point for a conversation because frankly, we're a broke town with a lot of problems, and the burden of being in government is you don't produce anything and sell it to make your revenue. That's just not where money comes from. It comes from fees, from taxes, from mitigation fees, et cetera. So if we need to pay for these things, we need to figure out how we're going to pay for them. And I think that those that cause the issues should be the ones to pay for it.
Thank you. All right, I just gotta make one comment. We're not broke. We're just cash reduced.
We're just not lush.
Yeah, exactly. We're not lush. There you go. That'll work. We're not
But
broke.
roads tell a story. And every time somebody puts chains on one of our frontage roads, my teeth grind as bad as those chains do on the road. So.
All right. Go ahead and open it up for comment from the council. Kim, you got any comments on this item?
I just have one
I think-
small comment.
Can I let Kim go first and then
Yeah.
I'll work down mine?
I need to do more studying and see how it turned out in Truckee and so on before I make any, decision. But unfortunately, we do have to, our roads were rated at 65% a couple of years ago when they did a study in Placer County, which was the worst road in Placer County. So I'd also like to see us spend some time to try to get more of those cars from I-80 to come over here and go to the gym. And so anyhow, I don't have any profound thing to say at this point. Larry.
All right, Larry.
Just a small comment. due to good software and delivery in time, we have big rigs on our streets all the time because the big rigs have become warehouses. And they're constantly in our town and obviously doing damage to our streets because they weren't made for that. They park in awkward places. And maybe that's something that we should also consider, although I'm not sure how we would address that. But I like what Trinity proposed in general.
All right, thank you.
And I would just say that the examples I put in here for fee amounts are nothing more than that. They're examples. Obviously, a nexus study is legally required and definitely prudent in order to determine appropriate amounts for fees. It's not just some ballpark number we spit out there. So while I put, 10 cents and 5 cents as examples, that's just coming from other jurisdictions. We would have to actually substantiate with a study to show that the amount it requires to mitigate the issues at hand are directly attributed in the specific cost amount that we are allocating. So it's not like we can come up with any number we want and say, this is where all our money is going to come from now on. It has to be directly correlated.
Thank you. Caroline, comments?
I didn't get to dig into this really heavy until this afternoon, and I found it interesting when I was doing a bunch of internet searching. A lot, when you go looking for it, a lot of what comes up is it translates it into the litter tax, and it's one of the things that you had mentioned. So it was a challenge to separate it and try to weed through some of that, because of course a lot of it is the laws that were passed all over the place in regards to what type of takeout containers were used and the materials and stuff. I know, because you had mentioned the litter cleanup as well. I know at one point there was a judgment that determined that fees used like this were unconstitutional to charge them for litter. I thought it was rather interesting that it went to that level. So I'm wondering how we would need to separate that out to not fall into that category for one.
So that's where the legal requirement for nexus studies came in, because you are only legally permissibly allowed to go forward with this if you are able to show with a study that there is a direct correlation between the mitigations that are being funded and the use of those products. Otherwise, it is unconstitutional due to the lack of relationship, because at that point, what you're doing is you're bypassing the voters for a tax.
Right.
And so it's important that you have solid data showing that this is directly attributed, much like our mitigation fees when you get a permit. When you get a permit, you have mitigation fees that you pay as part of your permitting process that pay for things like schools, they pay for things like roads, and they pay for your use of recreational facilities. This is very similar, and it's one of the very few ways that we're able to navigate traffic mitigation other than doing things like toll roads. Which, I don't know how we would consider that, which is why I didn't propose that. But that is one other way that larger, more municipal, more urbanized cities are able to collect on roadways is through toll roads such as Fast Track in the Bay Area.
And I know a lot of this will come out as we dig into it further if we choose to go forward. But one of the thoughts I had is what constitutes these containers? You picture Beach Hut, they wrap their sandwiches in paper and it's a plastic and it's a paper bag. Does that qualify, or are we only talking about clamshell containers? What about pizza boxes? Where do we draw the lines on something like that?
So that's something covered in the Nexus study, is you actually have to show that the types of containers that you're attributing this to are contributing to the problem. So there's a lot of questions that would have to be answered through a study.
And they're definitely there. It's back to that tying it to litter, because we know that there's always roadside litter, but I can say it's our focus, like you, it's the roadside. So how do we make that shift more to taking care of the roads? I'm with you. I agree that travelers definitely put a lot of damage onto our roads, and it would be awesome to be able to find a way for them to help pay for that other than just our community. We've had short conversations about drive-through taxes, as well as ways to try to do that. I hate my fear with something like this is it puts a lot of work on our businesses that are already strained to balance, to whether it's new, software that they have to have that sorts out the zip codes and, as to are they locals or are they not? having to track it. I'm kind of like with Kim, where are we focusing on the wrong thing? Should we spend more time and energy focusing on the problem that we've discussed a lot and we're making forward movement on, which is get more people into the businesses and get more people into downtown versus how, this just puts a lot of work on our businesses, and that's where
Sure.
I'm hesitant.
I think they're
about
two
that.
kind of separate and unique
They are.
issues. But I would say that again, you have to look at the nexus studies. So we would have to conduct a study because there is, for example, a very solid argument that while Buzz Through Joe's is a frontage business, it is not a frontage business that is attributing to the issue because of the fact that it is not a major franchise. So it would be something that would likely come out of the Nexus study showing that there's higher impacts from businesses such as McDonald's and Starbucks as opposed to Buzz Through Joe's. So certain types of businesses may be exempt just by the very nature of what comes out of the Nexus study. And those businesses such as McDonald's, Starbucks, et cetera, Taco Bell, the type of software used by those businesses is scalable just because of the nature of the business they're in. And a lot of them are already outfitted with the appropriate parameters to implement this. It's a matter of a software update. It's not something that's administratively burdensome. So launching point for a much bigger conversation. I don't expect that tonight we're gonna say, yep, we're doing it. But I did want to make sure we at minimum introduced it to the public and I made you guys familiar with the work I had done so far so that we can, hopefully someone comes back here with a better idea than what I came up with. So this is just a really good launching point and I'm hoping on a future agenda, because I don't expect we'll pass this resolution tonight. I wouldn't even recommend we pass this resolution tonight, but I would like to see us bring this back on a future agenda once people have had some more time to be familiarized. And maybe let's come up with a proposal that fits our city.
I don't think I saw in here, do we know what kind of a cost we would have for a Nexus study? Do we know roughly what those, I don't remember if I saw anything in here. Just out of curiosity, what we're looking at investing just to research.
We would probably be looking in the range of $10,000 or less from what I was looking into. But again, that depends on vendor availability and what people are willing to quote us. So without having, direct quotes specifically tailored to the city of Colfax, I don't think we can speak to that just yet. Another reason I don't recommend that we actually pass the resolution tonight. I just want to introduce it.
All right, thanks. I have some concerns about the implementation and this idea in general, but I'm not opposed to us looking into it further. So maybe we can table the item and then provide staff direction to look into possible costs of a Nexus study and going through the investigation process. So try and get ahead of the costs or what, and get an estimate on what we think it's going to cost to even investigate this. I think it would be a good idea if you guys are good with that, providing that direction to staff.
And I'd love to hear the public's comments too, because I'm hoping when we can come back to the issue, I'm hoping that, again, some people have had some smarter ideas than what I came up with, and maybe it'll really mean we're going to get somewhere with it, because the reality is we do need more revenue.
And then I would add what we would get back from that investment. What sort of dollars are we talking about that would come back to the city should be part of that?
Yes.
Okay. Great. I will open this item up to public comment. Please come on up. I don't have any cards for it, so you guys.
I'm Caroline
Yeah,
Hickson
sorry.
and I'm a resident of the city, and I pick up trash outside the city because I live up the hill and I walk Tokiana Way all the time. And I sometimes take pictures of the amount of trash. Sometimes I sort it in the garage. And so there's that woman, that group of people that collects trash around here. I think it's really important to quantify it somehow and identify it. So if you want to, I would suggest that you connect with her and her group and have them quantify what they're picking up, because it's not very hard. It doesn't take a lot of time, and it might give you some data. Because when I am picking up this stuff, it's just like I'm becoming this trash nut. I can tell what blows out of the garbage trucks. And then, there's the beer cans and there's those little bottles of cinnamon whiskey or whatever they are. I mean, there's like 20 of those sometimes on the side of the road. So at any rate, for pictures say a lot. So.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment on this item? Caroline?
Well, I have had very little time to look into this too. So I am going to say I'm concerned. The software, the process of going through adding this to our, it's rather difficult. I've looked into that, and it would weigh heavy on our small businesses, including Buzz-Throughs right off the freeway there. And I'm sorry, but I think that the impact basically of the trash comes from the bigger McDonald's, Starbucks, gas stations, people aren't really coming off the freeway and coming downtown and grabbing, we're not getting a lot of but locals. And I understand that the locals, this excludes taxing them and everything, but the process of determining what for us as small businesses, the differences and everything is rather complicated. And it does get very tricky here. And it can get very tricky when it comes down to our tax season and putting this all out there. I would like you to take a really hard look on how the impact of this is going to affect our small businesses. And with us right now trying to get and attract more out-of-towners and tourism, I'm kind of concerned that from what I've read, that these kind of taxes do deter that tourism I've looked into other cities around us that have it. Of course, Truckee has it. Auburn does not, and they're significantly bigger than we are and attract way more people off the freeway than we do. It's hard as small businesses are struggling right now. I just see this as a huge impact on us. So I'm going to do more delving into this myself. And I don't have any suggestions as how to make this work. But I think you might have to generalize that, you're going to have to tweak this to fit our community. And just take a hard look on how this is going to impact our small businesses and our tourism that we're trying to build right now.
Thank you. Any other public comment on this item? Well, we did receive 3 comments online. One from the California Restaurant Association, one from Marvell, and then from the California Grocers Association, all 3 expressing that they're requesting that we take the time to really investigate this and the impacts that it could have on businesses, including the grocery stores in town. So if there's no other public comment, I'll bring it back for action. Sounds like we got a pretty good consensus that we're going to go ahead and table the item until the next agenda and ask staff to come up with a rough estimate of what it's going to cost to implement the investigation of possibly having a resolution for this.
And just to be clear, this is one concept, one proposal. If there are additional proposals that fit in line with this that can be brought back for us to also discuss, I would like to make sure that when we agendize it, it's agendized in such a way to where those topics aren't off limits. Because this is just one concept for us to spark the conversation on how we can start making sure that, we've got some good revenue recovery from the impacts.
Thank you. Direction clear? Cool. Then we will table item 8A for a future meeting. Move on to item 8B, policy initiative to request USPS and FCC recognition of physical addresses in Colfax for E911 and public safety compliance. Trinity, do you want to kick this one off since it was your other resolution?
Yes, so this one's a little more straightforward. So City of Colfax, we are designated as a postal box delivery zone, meaning that the U.S. Postal Service does not recognize the physical residential addresses within a large portion of our jurisdiction in their address management system. The issue at hand is that the USPS address management system is used by E911 and a number of other services as the official source of truth regarding address verification. This has become a more concerning issue in the last couple years as E911 verification for cellular services has ramped up. And now cell phone providers that have not already substantiated a physical address as being valid are rejecting E911 addresses within the city limits for new services and new lines. So I did receive a public complaint and then personally dealt with this on both a professional level and personal level myself with trying to get new lines and services set up. And in addition to that, we've had a problem for many, many years that people have complained about regarding issues with their first property tax bill not arriving at their PO box and not being delivered to them because it's addressed to their physical address, or their billing address being considered inaccurate due to conflict with the USPS system when they're attempting to make online purchases. So, given the number of constraints, there are other cities who have successfully managed to work with the USPS AMS department in having their physical addresses recognized as being valid in the system, while at the same time maintaining their stance as a PO box delivery area. And so the recommendation tonight is that we would pass a resolution to basically direct our staff to work with the appropriate entities, including our congressional district, Kevin Kiley's office, the FCC and USPS AMS team to move forward with the process of having our addresses substantiated in the AMS system so that we can no longer have these problems. So hopefully that isn't overly controversial. It is a little bit cumbersome, but I am willing to volunteer time with staff to get this done because I am familiar with the AMS system due to my prior work for UPS. So any questions?
All right.
A general comment. Every one of those delivery companies has their own database. And there's several of them that have never found our house, two of which don't even say our house doesn't exist. UPS is very successful, but we've had packages just simply disappear. I have no idea where they went. And we've had to go back to the retailer, places like Home Depot, Target, some of the bigger businesses. They just get lost and they've had to pay for it. So I don't know how a small city can address that, but how do we reach all those different companies and their databases? That's what would interest me.
The answer to that.
Their databases are tied into that system.
Yes, so a lot of those delivery services actually use the USPS AMS system to validate their addresses. The reason that UPS is able to deliver to addresses successfully here is because I personally drew the maps for UPS for Colfax when I worked for UPS as part of the Orion Industrial Engineering team. What we did was we validated what we called missing roads against the USPS AMS system. And because we had awareness of this issue, because, lived experience, I was permitted to go in and redraw all of the maps for the city of Colfax at that time. So that was back in 2015. But a lot of the other carriers still do not have that validation against the USPS. They still validate against AMS. And so because they validate against AMS, unless a clerk overrides the address on their end, it's still going to get rejected.
I'm with you for sure. We should do something.
Yeah, and we are registered through the E911 system now. Our addresses are in there. There are discrepancies that have come up, and same thing with the post office. So this, at the very least, this will revalidate everything, and we can follow up and make sure that every address is in there correctly. Because I know that the AMS system actually has Schultz spelled differently.
Yes.
Then so that, stuff like that. It's just little things. Most of our addresses are registered E911, but because there are some discrepancies that we need to clear up, we need to make sure that we revalidate everything. So I think it's a great idea to go back and.
I'll draw a map in ArcGIS and send it to AMS, but I think if we can successfully lobby it and say, hey, it's worth your time to talk to us, which is really the difficult part in this, then, you know, we can get this done and it'll fix a lot of problems.
Hopefully. Kim, did you have any comments on this?
Just, I agree with what you said. Half of my packages end up on Washington Irving, which is like 10 miles away instead of Washington Street. So.
Ours end up in Dutch Flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My address ends up in Grass Valley. There's no 140 Pleasant Street in Grass Valley, so I don't know how.
There are actually CAD issues with the CAD dispatch system for the fire department where some addresses from Colfax show up on on Highway 174 in Grass Valley, and some addresses from Highway 174 in Grass Valley show up here. So this should help clear that up too, doing this revalidation and getting all that taken care of. Caroline, did you have any comments on this?
Nope.
All good? All right.
Good.
Any public comment on this item? Nope. No, nothing online? Okay, great. All right, then can I get a motion to approve item 8B?
I'll move approval of my item.
I'll second her approval.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, passes unanimously. City employees have some work to do. I doubt that's gonna be an easy process. All right. Yeah. Okay, then we will move on to item 9, good of order. Kim, you got anything we're gonna?
Very briefly, I'd like to see us continue the monthly music events or game night, just anything. Every month, there should be a minimum of 1 or 2 events going on at the Sierra Vista Center or somewhere. We have to keep the momentum going. Thank you.
I'm interested in seeing Winterfest back on our agenda.
We can add it to the next item, or next agenda.
Nothing for me tonight.
I will say that on that subject that Larry brought up, I think I have sent out 15 vendor applications since Monday. So I know they've had several more come in to the office and get paid. So they are coming in, but yeah, I've sent out, I've had 15 emails since Monday to send out applications. So they are moving right along. Not a problem.
Awesome. And on the Winterfest note, I have 1 guaranteed North Pole sponsor for our top sponsorship, and I'm working on 2 more, and have about $3,500 confirmed that should be coming in, and hopefully with just a couple of sponsors, we should be able to meet our, like 9,000 goal?
Let's see, we said the bill was probably close to 20 vendors should take up 5, that's 15, and then you got the rest. So, yeah, I think insurance for us, fortunately, is only $500, so that'll drop that 20 grand that we estimated way down, so. You're good.
All right.
So,
Awesome.
sorry.
You want me to answer that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you, you always will have estimates. You can never have a very specific, this is exactly to the penny what it's gonna cost. I know that Kim is working on the final quote for the porta potties that are coming in. We obviously know what the insurance cost, because Shanna was working on that, I think, last week. So that's covered, and then we know roughly what the fireworks were. So we do have those big bills already set. They are price checking to see if there is, if it's better for us to use one of the counting vendors for banners. But each subject has its thing, but there's always has to be a little wiggle room when it comes to doing events because you don't know what's coming up. But the big things are there. We know that overall your rough target was $20,000 is what the expense is for the event. And we know roughly where it's all coming from, and Sean's working his magic over here to get those donations in to make it work.
I think what Larry's asking for is a balance sheet. I think he wants to just see a budget report.
I want to see both. I want to see.
it on a
But
spreadsheet.
there's no money moving at this point, so it's kind of hard to give you a spreadsheet. I mean, we can, like I said, we can say this is how much the toilets were gonna cost and this, yeah, and we've, talked about those at length. But because there's no money moving anywhere, there's not a balance sheet for you yet.
Well, we haven't agreed on the project yet as a council, so that we need to know what the income items are and what the cost items are.
So she
If
just,
there's a definition that's not, people are seeing differently, because I'm pretty sure we have voted multiple times to move forward with the city.
But
hosting
we have
one.
not. Let's postpone this discussion to when we actually have it on our agenda.
that's fine. I have a fundraising goal. That's what I'm going with. That's what I'm going for. Okay. Next for my good of the order, I'd like to see if you guys are okay with, me presenting a proclamation to the veterans on Veterans Day for this and write it out. So
Oh, yeah.
I'll have a draft that Ron can present and you guys can verify that you're good with it. Even though
Yeah.
we're not going to vote on it, but then at the following meeting, go ahead and have it included to make a resolution out of it too.
Yep.
You guys good with that?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you. Look forward to that. And I just want to say Harry had brought up signage on the corners or at the
Mountain Village.
at the intersection at the Mountain Village. So I'm going to be working with one of our nonprofits to see if we can get a banner made up that's basically the same size as the Colfax Bazaar one. And it can be temporary, put up by a nonprofit, and we can kind of move it in and out as the other banners come and go. So,
Can I add to that?
yes, please.
We'd had a project we were kind of dabbling with and had some design work being done that had to do with remaking the hanging light signs, that we have look like light poles, nice pale yellow. How can we put one right there? Can we put a version of that somehow on that side? I know we have the one on the other side, but you can't see that when you're in the turn lane to go to Starbucks. So I think we need to work on adding something to that side of that property.
I think we can go talk about that, being creative, because I was also thinking continuing the signage, seeing if we can get enough together from the nonprofits to continue the round signs from the light poles that help, just
Yeah.
big arrow directing you further.
Oh,
And
yeah.
with Gordon's gym there too, I think that's gonna help too. We can put up signs on his property. It's like so.
I've made mention before, and I would, this is probably a Carl question. I would love to see what it would take somehow to get the ability to put a banner wire across a little bit further down, and then we can have banners there. I know the arch is a beautiful idea and I like the arch idea. It's just a lot more expensive than figuring out how to string some banners for events. I know he rolls his eyes at me when I say it, and that's okay. I know, but I would love to see what it would take for us to be able to somehow just a little bit further past where Gordon's is gonna be, get some kind of, that way we can direct that traffic downtown. So,
That is in the Colfax connectivity plan that we.
well,
but
I know we gotta do it in baby steps. So can I move that part up? Not the pretty arch, but just
Possible.
something to be able to throw some banners up there like we have right here on Grass Valley Street. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Possibly,
that attention to downtown.
right? All right, I don't have anything else. Do you have anything for good order?
I was just gonna say, out in Chicago Park, the only way we get our UPS is we put the address of the post office down and then you put hashtag your box number and then they'll save it for you at the post office for you.
The struggles of rural life.
Oh. Love you. Reminder of the Halloween decorating contest. See, I didn't write it down. So yeah, we still have all this week, and part of next week to decorate your homes or your businesses, and then give a call or an email to the office to be entered into the Halloween decorating contest. So decorate. Yes, if it's a business, we have to go in the door. We can't drive past when they're closed. It doesn't work. So, but yes, decorate.
All right, thank you. Do we have any public comment on any of the stuff we talked about in good of the order? Nope. All right. Then we will move on to item 10, our closed session item. Tonight's closed session item will be a real property negotiation regarding 99 Railroad Avenue. And we will open up to public comments on this item. I have a whole bunch of comment cards here, so I'm going to start with those. And please forgive me if I butcher your name or can't read it. I have a Colfax education. Oh, yes, and there are cookies up here.
They're persimmon, cranberry, and white chocolate, and some of them are a little on the undercooked side to make my husband happy, but feel free to eat some cookies when you walk up.
Yes. All right, we'll start with Diana Suarez.
Now I know why Trinity said it. That is the perks of coming to council meetings, is I try my best to always bring cookies.
Sorry, go ahead, Diana, sorry.
I was gonna wait till they're done with their refreshments.
Yeah. You're good. Okay. Thank you, Trinity.
Hi, I'm Diana Suarez. I sit on the Central MAC, and I'm really happy to be here, and I'm impressed with you guys and your nice business-like way that you're doing. I've come because for more than 40 years, rainbow music has been a cornerstone of Colfax's creative community, teaching generations of local children to play piano, guitar, violin, harp, and more. The Bonners have dedicated their lives to nurturing young musicians, many of whom have gone on to share their love of music throughout our community. And I know you were talking about concerts, and this goes right in with promoting the musicality and culture of Colfax. My son is one of the people that have took music from first Christine and then Rob, and it really added a lot to our lives. And I used to drive him over to to Grass Valley for his music lessons, and I was very happy to see that we had that service here in Colfax. And I myself am take music lessons there, and it's really added a lot to our culture and our community and enjoyment of retirement. There's a lot of retired people that do that as well as the children. So I just wanted to give my appreciation for the Bonners to bring such a high level of world-class music talent to our community, and also to implore you to treat them with the respect they deserve and negotiate a fair outcome that works for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Robert Bonner. You still here? Robert? You're next.
I thought I'd be further down the list.
That's just the way they shuffled out.
Yeah.
They're random.
I'd like to thank you all, and I really like to show my appreciation for what you people do, because this is like, I could never sit through meetings like this. I appreciate that so much. And I appreciate you all for coming here tonight and sitting with us too. What I'd like to say is that, like, when we heard about the city's decision to terminate our lease the last Wednesday of September, and we were supposed to be out by November 1st, I was actually taken back and a little shocked by the callousness of that, the fact that we've been in business here for 40 years. And I thought that it was just kind of one of those things that we would have appreciated a little bit more leeway in this thing. We have students that depend on what we do, and they pay us in advance, and we do this thing. So, I mean, it would be tough on them. It would be tough on us financially to try to even think about trying to find another spot. Just to get out, I mean, it would take us quite a bit of time to actually empty out 40 years of music and 40 years of memories that quickly. I'd like to also just at this point address some of the people who had negative comments about what we have done and whether we were cheating the city out of rent money, which is like came out on a Facebook thing, which I thought was just like bizarre. For one, when we first came in, the building had been abandoned for a couple of years, more than that. And we came in and it looked, it was pretty bad. And basically, Christine and I worked our tails off trying to get the construction projects and things like that. I tried mending quite a few of the windows, and I went and I pressure washed the roof, which is now needed it again because it's been 15 years since I did it before. But I pressure washed that, I sanded it, and then I painted it. And I have a picture of what that looked like after I did it. This is a picture from 2018, and you can see that it looks much better. At one point, right after this picture was taken, we were told by the city manager at that time to not do any more than what we were doing. And so we pulled back and in that, but at the same time, I thought, you know, I mean, it was like the windows were, I tried to repair them and I did that for years. And then I just came to the conclusion that I needed to rebuild them. And so I initially bought all the lumber myself and the paint, and I put these windows together. Well, there's 43 windows in that thing. And it took me until about, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, where I got the last one finished. It's been quite a process. I have pictures of of the rotted windows that I took out here. I have pictures of my outdoor shop at my house in Dutch Flat where I did most of the work. But I figured that it took me probably 10 to 12 hours for each window to do it, to build them. And then it was like the hours in taking the old dry rotted windows out and painting all that and repairing any of the dry rot that I saw in there. And it was quite a process. And I wanted you all to know that I always felt that this was kind of a gem in Colfax, and Christine and I both felt that way about it. We tried to keep it up as much as we could. I was going to actually paint the ceiling again this summer, but I'm also a Vietnam veteran who all of a sudden just realized that my doctors just told me that I have some issues from Agent Orange exposure that made I got ill this summer. And I feel better now, and I'm almost ready to jump back up there again. But I just wanted you to know that that's what we feel. The other thing is that we've done a lot for the community. Years ago, we did.
I'm sorry. The 5 minutes is, I really appreciate your comment. I
Well,
really,
we'd
I
like to tell
really
you that
hate.
we did
comments.
concerts to help the downtown area. Thank you.
Thank you.
And it was very successful.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I'm really sorry. I hate cutting people off, but there's so many people here that want to comment. I just have to keep it synced. Quinn? Thank you for coming.
Wrote some stuff so I don't get confused in what I'm about to say. First and foremost, I am truly excited to be here. Oh, can you guys hear me now? Awesome. I feel like a T-Mobile commercial. I'm so glad to be here. And my name is Twin. I live in Colfax with my husband, Josh, my daughter, Emma, who's sitting over there. She is just turned 16, and my youngest daughter, who just turned 13. It's good to be here. Before I read what I wrote, I want to say we don't have a music store in Colfax, so we have to go to Auburn or sometimes Rockland. And it's amazing, and I'm so proud when I get this, when I feel this, or when I experience this, but sometimes people would go up to my daughters and they would say, hey, where do you take your lessons? Or, you know, where do you take your guitar lessons, your harp lessons? And we would pause and smile. And we have this kind of a sensation of just pride. It's just a gut that you feel in your heart. And you say Colfax, simple as that, Colfax. And they would pause and they would smile in return and they would say, oh, I know exactly where that location is. It's at the old train car, Robin Christine. And I swear this happened twice in Auburn. And I think it was another one in Rockland. And it was fascinating for people to actually say, I know exactly where that is. It's that amazing train car where Rob and Christine are at. I too took lessons there. And it's that level of pride that I've never felt before coming to this country, and where I felt when I was back home. It's like, yeah, Colfax. So I'm here I am here as a mom, as an advocate. And I want to just read what I wrote. Rainbow music in the old train car is about community. It really is about family. It's about identity, being part of Colfax. It's a place for our kids and adults to pursue their love of music. I have watched my daughters blossom into the people that I am so incredibly proud of. They play the guitar every night, even after doing their homework. My other daughter, harp. Who would know, like, my daughter would play harp? I mean, harp, you know? But they do. They've learned to love music in such a way that I don't believe would have happened if not for Rob and Christine. We came from Elk Grove, then moved here. We took some music lessons in Auburn, and it is so different. Rob and Christine are amazing and so special and a true treasure in Colfax. Their passion for music and connection with their community are apparent through their relationships with their students. Visiting Rainbow Music in the old train car is more than just receiving a music lesson. It's about being part of a community, being part of Colfax. People identify the train as a place where you can take music lessons, great music lessons, and be part of the community and history. I beg all of you to please reconsider your decision regarding Rainbow Music. Please don't take away the very thing that most people in this room treasure. And to some, it is their lifeline. We have elderly folks here. We don't really have any resources for them or for our children. But in life, I think I've learned that history is important and we need to appreciate history. But most importantly, we need to appreciate the people who create those stories for us. It's not just buildings. It's about the people. It's about the community. It's about when you walk into the old train car, you could sense history and you could feel the vibration of the music that has gone through for over 40 years. And please don't take that away from our children and from the community that lives in Colfax. Thank you.
Thank you. Rob Ferguson. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you for having this meeting tonight. I'm here to really visit this topic on a different level. For over 50 years, I've been a business consultant and I've built many national companies. One of the advice I always gave all the businesses, the young startups to growing businesses, was to know your brand and to protect your brand. So here's an opportunity for the city of Colfax to significantly improve the public perception of what is happening in Colfax, what your brand is all about. Giving these folks, 6 or 8 weeks to pack up and go after 40 years of service is absolutely against what your brand should represent. What your brand should take advantage of shouldn't cost you a dime. Let them know that they appreciate their service to Colfax, that they appreciate all the contributions they've made, maybe even declare a rainbow music outing or day, get the press involved and let them live out their business their business license and let them have a very sophisticated and compassionate way of recognizing what they've done. Anything else would be a terrible slap in the face to them and the community and would damage your brand. Doesn't cost you a dime to do the right thing.
Thank you. Carol Brady? Sorry. Brady. Thank you for coming.
I just would like to read the letter that my son wrote. He took lessons from both Chris and Rob in the past. He's out of town and can't be here tonight, so. Good evening, council members. My name is Mike Freedy, and I am providing this letter to address one of Colfax's meaningful legacies, rainbow music. For 40 years, rainbow music has been part of the heartbeat of Colfax's creative community, and it now faces eviction. Long before you started talking about music grants and cultural experiences, Rob and Christine were already doing that work, teaching generations of Colfax and the surrounding community kids to play, perform, and find confidence through music. I myself learned to play piano with Christine and guitar from Rob before and during my Colfax high school years. I still fall back on music when everything else seems to be out of tune. They never asked for recognition. They did so because they had acquired the skills and abilities to educate and share with this community. And now, after 4 decades of service, they're being told their lease won't be renewed. The Bonners have maintained and improved that historic train car for 15 of their 40 years of successful business. You've told them to vacate by November 1st without warning, without a plan, and without an apparent reason. Most currently operating Colfax businesses were founded less than 15 years ago. And unfortunately, many of those last only 3 or 5 years. Some of the few that have endured for 30 to 40 years, for example, Winter Chevy, Sierra Market, Colfax Market, Hills Flat Lumber, excuse me, and Rainbow Music are anchors in this town. When you push one out one of those anchors, you don't just lose a tenant, you lose a piece of Colfax identity. Simultaneously, you have pushed out Rainbow Music and have applied for the Levitt AMP Music Series grant, which expands access to community music programs. The city of Colfax appears to be trying to get funding to create the very thing it is eliminating. That is not just ironic, but it comes off as dishonest to the spirit of the grant. The Levitt grant sounds promising, and I truly hope that it is obtained. But the volume from those potential band's amplifiers will not drown out the silence of no kids, family, or friends learning melodies and chord progressions from within the historic train car downtown. You state that you want to support music and strengthen community connections. However, is that not exactly what Rainbow Music has done since 1985, consistently and successfully? If Colfax values its heritage and its young people, then this decision should be an easy one. Renew their lease. Stand up for the people who have stood up for the community. The Bonners have given Colfax 40 years of music, mentorship, and meaning. Please provide them with a fraction of that time back. Renew the lease, keep the music alive. Personally, I'm currently taking music lessons, fiddle and guitar from Rob. In fact, I just missed my lesson tonight. Where were you? What has happened? Yeah. And I just sincerely hope that when they leave Colfax, either by choice or by eviction, you give them a hearty thank you for those 40 years of what my son said, 40 years of music, mentorship, and meaning for the city of Colfax. Thank you.
Thank you. Nancy Bullard. Thank you for coming.
Council members, thank you for letting me talk tonight. I'm Nancy Bullard. I live in Dutch Flat, where I've lived for 43 years. It's a sister community to Colfax, and much of our business is done by coming down here. So we support Colfax and we support your decisions until we heard about the instance with Rob and Chris. And Chris and Rob, please stand up and make sure people here know you, who you are. Because when I walked in, a couple council members, Christine, and this is Rob. One of the council members didn't know who I was talking about when I said the Bonners. So that is Rainbow Music. Okay? Christine and Rob had a business here for 40 years, since 1985. They've been friends of ours for about 40 of those years too. 3 of our children were educated in music by the time. Thank you. Thank you. They supported us at the various fairs and festivals where Val played. They were there, set up the sound system, sat there coaching her, and sat there the whole time. I don't know how many music teachers do that. They also provided music training when our schools did not. They provided weekly training. We paid for it. It was nominal because our little family that had one income could pay for it. They also trained our other daughter, our second daughter, Lisa, on the fiddle. Rob did that. And they both took lessons from elementary school, 3rd grade, all the way through high school. And they lean on that knowledge and that confidence every day in their lives. They also worked with our daughter, Katie, who had cancer. And they trained her on the piano. And they came to our home because she could not travel and taught her there. I don't know how many music teachers will do that for a paltry $30 a month. They were phenomenal. And their daughter, Allegra, who was living in England, came over here when Katie had her celebration of life service by herself. She celebrated it. She set it up because she didn't want a memorial done after she passed away. She wanted one while she was alive. So Allegra came and had a rock concert in our backyard. What kind of people are that? Where do you get people like that? They've been here in Colfax for 40 years. Do you really want to kick them out? I don't think you do. They also have provided for our community in Dutch Flat a major concert in order to have Abe, our little storekeeper, have some money come in for a period of a year when he was very hard up during the period of COVID. They provided a concert and gave him the proceeds. Now, who is willing? Are you willing to do that? Take the money out of your pocket and give it to a store, a grocery store? Probably not. These folks are rare and wonderful. They're a symbol of small communities, of celebration, and what you need to enhance. Like he said, that's the brand of local communities. Celebrate it, reward them, give them recognition, and pay them back for what they've done on that building. And for God's sake, give them another year's lease, at least to 2000 through up until 2026. That's all I ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Is this Laura? Or Glasser? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, I'm Laura Glasgow and I'm also from Dutch Flat. Everything that everybody has said about the Bonners is so wonderful. I hate to cry about it, sorry. But is there any way in Robert's Rule of Order that I could give my 5 minutes to Rob? No?
No, it's not.
He can say
not
it much better
transfer.
than I can. I'm just here to say that I support the Bonners. They brought decades of positive business to this area. They deserve the respect and admiration of this community and be allowed to remain in their current space until its mutually agreed upon date is determined. You've discussed about gaining more business in this community. I would ask you to be very intentional in maintaining this existing long-term business. Thank you.
Thank you. Emma Singer.
Hi, so I'm a sophomore over at Colfax, and a couple years ago, I was receiving guitar lessons in Auburn. Then I decided to learn from Rob, and it was the best decision I could have made. So every Monday, I go to school, spend too many hours in a classroom, absorbed in school activities. I rush home, grab my guitar, and then rush to my lesson. And it's the best part of my week. And I understand wanting to like show our locomotive history in Colfax, but there's history happening in the train right now. So the train used to transport people all across California and even across the country. And even today, it's transporting people through music. Rainbow Music is the only place in Colfax to learn an instrument. Even at the high school, we have barely any performing arts electives, and the guitar elective, it really sucks. Not to be mean, but it sucks. Rainbow Music is the only place in our community to really learn an instrument, learn about the history of music, and just appreciate music. So don't take away our only resource to learn music. And I'm a little confused on how you talk about wanting to bring music to Colfax, yet you're trying to evict a music school. Could you explain that to me? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kelly Cassidy.
Good evening, City Council members, and good evening to my neighbors of Colfax. My name is Kelly Cassidy. As many of you in here, my kids have taken music lessons, friends of mine, and I currently take music lessons. Colfax is a town that has always carried a rich history in the gold mining era, the trains, and music. And really, there's a lot of talent here in Colfax. There's visual arts, there's performing arts. We have a unused theater that I wish could, in fact, Rob Bonner played many times there, and he's had sold out concerts. And, you know, even in the last few years in the Auburn Theater, you know, $50 a ticket, you know, sold out right away. You know, it's okay. I'll stay on here. They've planted seeds for decades. Rainbow Music has become an incubator of creativity, nurturing countless musicians who have gone on to enrich not only Colfax, but other communities in which they play all around the world. Many of his students come and play with him in paid concerts. Their work reminds us who we are. We're a small town that really values connections, history, and music, and it's all combined there in Rainbow Music. We are a community built on face-to-face connection as well, where neighbors know one another, and where differences are met with mutual respect, in seeking understanding rather than judgment, and in avoiding the traps of rumor or gossip, especially when it concerns our local families and businesses. That's why I urge all of us to be mindful of how we communicate. Social media can be a powerful tool, but it also can create echo chambers where misunderstandings and assumptions thrive. These challenges fade when we choose direct, respectful, and open dialogue, the kind that happens right here in public meetings like this today. Tonight, we have the proper forum to discuss matters such as rent, upkeep, utilities, contractual adjustments that might need to be made, all within appropriate agenda and process of our city government. These are serious conversations that deserve both fairness and transparency. A business that has served Colfax residents for 40 years deserves timely and respectful communication about any contractual changes. It is not reasonable to expect a family or business with such a longstanding presence to vacate in only a month or two. With that type of notice, it's just impossible, especially while they're still teaching music. Therefore, I ask this council to consider granting the Bonner family 9 months to a year to plan, to review the lease together, to develop a fair and agreeable arrangement. This would honor both the city's responsibilities and the incredible contributions that Rainbow Music has made to our community. Let's move forward with respect, collaboration, and care, values that define Colfax and will continue to shape the future. And thank you, Historical Colfax Downtown, for bringing more music and more people to this wonderful community of artists and musicians. Thank you.
Thank you very much. John Eisenhunt.
Good evening. Thank you, Council.
Good evening.
I rise in the support of Rainbow Music and Robin Chris Bonner, and I'd like to align myself with all of the previous comments that have been made. I think you would be remarkably tone deaf, Council, if you hadn't heard the message from this body. I also would like to address Rob and Chris, because I think after the rather abrupt way that they were treated by the city, that they should take comfort in the assembled group and know that that this community supports them and supports them strongly. I think I'm not going to, well, I do. I want to say we are a multi-generational student group of the Bonners. I'm here, had my piano lesson today, and our next generation, who's not here right now, there were multiple students of the Bonners, and we brought our show and tell grandchildren who were also students of the Bonners. So it's very important in our lives. I'm not enough of a legal scholar to address the issue of this item being in closed session. I understand the nuances of should you get into discussion of a lease, that's probably a legal issue and potentially a closed session item. But I would like to hear from the council in open session their sentiments and their direction to the city manager with regard to the preparation of that lease. I would challenge you and say that I believe this could be, that these comments could be made in open session, and I look forward to the transparency of that conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Cynthia Eisenhunt.
That is Eisenhunt. That's our last name. And yes, our whole family. And as a matter of fact, these children's mother and her sisters have taken lessons from the Bonners. And so our lives are so enriched, we're learning. And just know that your decisions are going to affect my grandchildren and many other children. So we just thank you for your time and your sincere consideration in allowing them to continue to give us allow them to continue to give us their instruction in music, because they're wonderful, wonderful teachers. Thank you.
Quick question, Mr. Mayor. Are the children on our speaker cards? Did they have anything they wanted to say? Are the children on the speaker cards? Well, I just want to really quickly encourage you guys not to be shy, because, you know, I think it's really important that kids know they're as welcome at this forum as any of the adults. We want to hear what you have to say if you have anything to say. And I know it's a little scary to get up to the podium, but, you know, we really like it when the whole community comes together and participates in these meetings, because these things are important to you guys.
Yep, definitely. I had two more comment cards, but Kenny, you're up. So go ahead, Kenny. Thank you very much for coming.
Hi, my name's Kenny Arashi, and I've been a student for Christine for at least 3 years. And once I heard that they're getting evicted, that really shocked me because since the beginning, since I started playing, I loved playing piano. It was like it's my favorite thing. It brings me joy every single time I come there. And I can't believe you guys are deciding to do this. It's like actually, it's like breaking my heart. So I hope you consider to let them stay here. So I hope they stay here until I graduate high school, to be honest. Yeah.
Hello.
Like 3.5 more years. Yeah.
Thank you, Kenny. All right, I have a comment from Michael Mulligan. All right, yeah.
Hi, Council. Michael Mulligan, lived in Meta Vista since 1987, and I just retired as a family doctor. I had a lot of patients from up here in Colfax. And when I came and got this practice from a doctor who was leaving, he said, "You're coming to a really great place, and it's a great small community." And he goes, "Not only that, I've got a great guitar teacher." And he said, "This guy, Rob Bonner, you ought to start taking lessons from him." So I did, and that's a long time ago, 1987. My 3 kids graduated from Colfax High School in the early aughts, and my middle daughter became a pretty accomplished harpist, thanks to Chris. And despite Rob's best efforts, I remain a very unaccomplished fiddle player, but I keep trying. And, a lot about what I've loved, my great gift of living up here is the fact this is a small place and a community. And for 2 decades at least, I've listened to Larry every Saturday morning talk about the gift that KVMR is. And you're right, Larry, it's a gift. And you talk about community. And that's actually what we all have here. We have community. And Rob and Chris are fabric. They are glue that keeps this community something more than it would be without them. They are added value. And when people talk about businesses, when you sell a business, they say, well, you got your inventory, you got your hard assets, and then there's this concept, goodwill. And the goodwill is hard to put a number on, but with Rob and Chris, it's an enormous, enormous number. And you're hearing that from everybody here tonight. So I think we all expect you, and you've heard this from everybody, to do the right thing, And you know what the right thing is to do with these people. You treat them with respect, you give them the time that they need, and you value them like all of us do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our final comment card tonight is Laura Isherwood. All right. Yelling these names tonight.
Good evening. My name is Laura Isherwood. I'm a resident of Alta, but a consumer of products and services in Colfax, at least once a week. I'm here to speak for my daughter and son-in-law who couldn't be here, Caitlin and Parker Geisinger. And they have 4 of my grandchildren, Jacob, Madeline, Evelyn, and James. And all 4 of my grandchildren take lessons from Christine and Rob. And the instruments they play, and they play pretty well now, they play harp, they play piano, violin, cello, and guitar. Am I correct? Okay. And it's been going on for about, I think around 3 years. And sometimes Nana drives them to class. And while it's like a 2-hour wait. So while I'm waiting, I hit the local businesses. So because when you come down the mountain, you want to save money. So I like to do at least 15 errands for my gas. So then I'll go and I'll do Starbucks. I'll do Dollar General if I need to get some party supplies. I, of course, go to Marvell. I like the library. I'm the returner of books. I do Pizza Factory after some of the lessons for lunch. And I love the community as well. Even though I don't live here, I feel like I do. I feel like it's my town too. And I have grown to know them somewhat in the last 3 years. And 2 years ago, when my husband passed, my grandchildren wanted to perform in his celebration of life. And they had picked out some songs, and Rob and Christine worked really hard with them because they're quite young. The oldest is 14, but at the time he was 12. And so we had some younger 11 and 9 get up and perform in front of our church. And they did a beautiful job, and we videotaped and we showed Rob and Christine. And they're so compassionate. I'm supposed to read my daughter's bullet points, and I know I don't have much time. So I thought, Lord, just help me say something that's from my heart and give me the words. And yes, my daughter was really happy that they're generous, and because their fees are so affordable, she can afford to get all 4 of them to take the lessons. And so that's really good for their family, but not in just sharing in the celebration of life or performing for our church, and they've done that many times. They are able to perform for the elderly residential facilities in, I know, the community of Auburn, and those residents just love that. And I am so grateful to these 2 individuals for giving to the community. And in doing so, they're teaching the kids how to give to the community. And that's what it's all about. And I know, I don't know all the ins and outs of what was going on, but my hope and prayer, and I know for my daughter and my son-in-law, is just to try to work together in compassion and love and see what we can do to keep them here in Colfax. They are an anchor, and I second and third everything that was said. I'm not an eloquent speaker. I took debate last in college because I was afraid, and I didn't want to get up, and I'm a good support person. I can write the speeches, but I can't say them. But anyway, please consider, and I thank you so much for your time, and I will come more often. This is my first meeting. I used to go to the school board meetings, but this is my first community meeting, and it's run so well. I just continue and take care of these 2. God bless.
Thank you very much. That was all the comment cards I have, so I'll open it up for any additional public comment on this item. Bill, come on up.
Yeah, Bill Bean Senior, and I didn't know where to sign up, or I was late getting here. Some of the words I hear, the gem of Colfax, and to me, that's what they are. They represent our town. You guys talk about all the time about helping our youth out in Colfax. We have a big deal on a skate park up here that you guys have fought and fought and fought and fought. That's what they do. They teach hundreds. I don't know, Rob, I don't know if you even know how many kids you've ever taught, and adults, but it's hundreds or thousands. And then I have another question. Wendell Roby, I'm sure you all know Wendell Roby, started Hart Federal Savings in that car. I remember the night we moved it from where the bank is now across the street there. I think I have an idea, I could be wrong. The city probably didn't have to pay a dime for that thing. I think that was probably donated by Wendell. So I am a little blindsided on what's going on here tonight. I'm not keeping up, I guess. I'm a little flip phone. But I'm shocked that you would even want to move them out or to try to force them out. I don't understand that. So I hope it doesn't happen. We need them. We need them badly. And I know you know all about it. You love your music. You love your music. I love you on Saturday mornings. But we need to keep the Bonners here where they belong. So thank you.
Thank you, Bill. All right. Any other public comment on this item? Aaron? All right, come on up.
So I've been in Colfax for just about 6 years, going on 6 years. And I didn't really connect with the community in most of those years, to be frank. But when I started plugging in and we created this entity called the Downtown Association, it was all about how do we tell ourselves our story better as a city to attract opportunities and rebrand our city, essentially. So I love the branding conversation. I did want to clarify that the Levitt grant was an initiative of ours. We didn't ask the city, we didn't coordinate it with the city. We just merely applied and took a giant leap of faith that what if someone could recognize what a cool little town we are and give us an opportunity like that. What I have clearly missed in telling the story of Colfax is the Bonners. And the legacy that you have created in Colfax gives me goosebumps sitting back there listening to all these stories and all these lives that you have touched and all the music that you brought to Colfax before someone like me came along and even thought to write a grant. And you should be so proud of the legacy that you've created in this town. And I think you very much are a part of our brand. And it would be, after listening to all these stories, I love that train. Every time I've been into town, I've immediately looked at the train building and was like, that is the coolest building. What's in there? And I immediately was interested. And again, I'm sorry that it's taken this for me to get to know who the Bonners are. And we want to continue to tell your story at a high level because we feel like, as I mentioned, that's our job as an association. And I just wanted to thank you for the legacy that you created. And I hope that a wise decision is made tonight and we can keep that going.
Thank you. Any other public comment tonight on this item? No? All right, then I'm gonna bring it back to us, and we have had multiple requests tonight on this item to do this negotiation publicly and not do this under a closed session. Because of the nature of the item and the nature of the negotiations, we do have that option to bring this out as an open session item, and we can vote, or we can have a consensus right now to do that, or we can ask to hold off and start negotiations privately and do it again the next meeting, whatever we want to do here. But I just want to make sure that we've answered the request to have this be public, so.
I will make a motion that we waive closed session privilege on this item and we hold it publicly.
I second that.
So,
I
okay,
second that.
so if we're good here on council, and we've got a second, would you guys like to do this negotiation publicly, or would you like to do it behind closed doors?
The council is
Well,
giving direction to its negotiator. We are negotiating with our counterpart.
right.
But it's still their private information. So if we.
Are you okay with us negotiating this publicly?
Yeah, because
I should rephrase that better.
Yeah.
Are you okay with us negotiating with your negotiator publicly in this meeting, in this forum right now to come up with a plan? Yeah, no objections? Okay. So I have a first and second from council, so all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Negotiations will be public. We will not adjourn to closed session. We'll go ahead and make a note of that. And
Can we take a recess though?
yeah, if you don't mind, we'll take a 7-minute recess. We'll come back at 8:30 and continue the discussion on this item. Thank you. All right, all right.
No, move it.
Let's go ahead and get back to business. I'll call the meeting back to order. Please take your seats.
Yeah, she's back.
All right. And we will go ahead and an open session, start on item 10C. Go ahead, Connor, if you want to.
All right, so I just, since this is a new thing for the city council, I wanted to give a little introduction to what we're doing here and try and keep the discussion cabined. The purpose of the Brown Act exemption allowing the city council to meet in closed session and discuss real property negotiations out of the public eye is to allow them to discuss price and terms. So meet with their negotiator, discuss price and terms of a real property transaction, without disclosing what their bargaining position might be. So that's the idea of the Brown Act exemption. It's pretty narrow, and that's all this discussion will be. It will be the city council discussing the price and terms they're prepared to offer for the Rainbow Music lease. We will not be writing a lease agreement at this meeting. We will simply be discussing the current agreement, the proposal that's on the table, and the city council's position as to price and terms. So with that caveat, let's begin the open and closed session.
You went in the restroom.
Yeah, we'll give it just a second.
He was very popular, we understand. It's kind of hard to break away.
All right. We can go ahead and kick this off actually and just we'll have Ron give a little bit of background on where we're at. Is that okay?
Yeah, maybe you can at least kick us off with helping us understand how much the expense is to allow the facility to be in use.
If you don't mind, give us a little background on how we got here with the 1 year lease, costs real quick, and then, what the proposal was from Rainbow Music for an extension or continuation of the lease. Totally put you on the spot here. I was just talking about doing it and I made him do it. I mean, I can if you're not ready. So.
Beautiful. Okay, at the November 13th, 2004 City Council closed session meeting, the council considered a lease extension from Rob and Christina Bonner for the rail car property. At the time, the Bonners requested a 2-year lease extension. However, council approved a 1-year lease extension, extending the term of the lease through November 1st, 2025. And that's why we thought they understood it was only for a year. So it wasn't like we were just trying to kick anybody out. We thought, so there clearly was a breakdown in communication somewhere there. The current lease, it's not Q&A. Yeah, so the current lease extension will expire November 1st, 2025. Tammy Hampshire with Foothills Property, working with the Bonners, have submitted a follow-up request for an additional lease extension through June of 26. If this request is approved, it would effectively provide an additional 7 months beyond the current lease. Am I correct on June of 2026? Yeah.
Yes, please.
Please go.
Yeah, if you can.
So just so you're aware that we're recording the meeting. I should remove. We're recording the meeting. This is going to be available on the city's YouTube channel. So when you speak into the mic, what you say gets recorded. And that's why we ask that all public comment go through the mics. So thank you.
Okay. That we were a little stunned about the brevity of doing that. And I thought that if nothing else, I looked at my my business license and it said, good till then. And so I said, well, shit, what about that? Kind of a thing, rather than if we, but please don't throw us out on our ear. We do need time to, if we go out, it would be nice to have enough time to actually phase out what we do. Although we wouldn't want to do that, but I mean, we do feel like we do offer a lot to the community.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I can certainly understand where the confusion was over not understanding that you were only going to get a year. And that's why we're here tonight to talk about extending that lease out. And again, is the June 2026 date fine? Or are you thinking of a different date? Let us know.
Well, if we could get the year, I'd feel good about that. But I don't know what plans the city has. I mean, it would be great if we could have maybe talked about, like, if you said, well, hey, we're going to take the rail car and we're going to do this by this date. And, and just to have that kind of communication, then maybe you guys could phase out by then or something like that. We're always open to that. I mean, it's like, and I'm getting kind of old anyway,
Right. Right. Yes. And well, first I want to thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you.
I should have mentioned that before. Yeah, our plans for the rail car are not for public consumption at this time. So I can't exactly tell you what our future plans are for that because we're negotiating some different things. But we do just need to know a closeout date for you what would work best for you?
I haven't really had that much time to think about that. I was just like, I mean, we've just actually,
Didn't mean to put you on the spot.
we're still stunned. I mean, really, it's just like, we just, it's like, I don't know. It's kind of like being some kind of baseball player that all of a sudden can't hit anymore and the
Yeah.
team just fired you, or
So just to
something,
clarify, you guys would like to continue operating, but you guys are willing to, if we decided that we needed the car for some immediate purpose, you guys are saying that as long
And
as you have like a,
as long as we had the, the notice, that we could figure out how to do this. It's just that we didn't have any time to actually think, about like what to do, how to phase our business out, because we've never given it any
but the
thought.
true ask is you guys would like as long as we're willing to give you, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we're all speaking the same language here.
Yeah.
All right.
If you want to go ahead and sit back down,
Yeah.
make yourself comfy.
I think we're good.
You done with me?
For now,
For
for now, I think we're good. Yeah. Thank you very much. That helps us a lot, knowing what your guys' position is and what you would like. So I definitely have to say, I do feel there was a breakdown in communication. We did ask for just the 1-year lease, or we did agree on just the 1-year lease, and with no outreach and further negotiations, we assumed inappropriately that the lease would be ending in November. So we'll work with that. I'm sorry to upset the entire community with that. So we're definitely, it seems like willing to work with them. So let's start talking about what's been proposed, what we want to look at in the future, and where we can go. Caroline, do you want to start with this?
So just to clarify then, that would be if we were to extend it through their business license, that gives them just over 8 months. So that's the time frame that we're discussing if we go with their original request of through the end of June. So that would be time to continue doing business, wrap it up, and to move on if we were to do something else. And I know one of our concerns is the integrity of the building and the roof, and all of that needs to get some serious attention. And some of that can't be done, unfortunately, when it's still being occupied. Because we all know, like you said, that the roof needs some love, and it needs a lot of love, unfortunately, and we definitely wouldn't want any damage to be done because of that. So it's part of our due diligence to make sure that that thing is going to be as solid as possible if we're going to let somebody be in there. So, but I mean, so that's what their proposal is an additional 8 months, and I'd say that's what we're up for discussion to run on. And I'm fine with letting them run through the end of their business license. I think that is a fair request. So that's my.
If I could respond to that, I don't think.
Hold on. We're gonna do this in order. Trinity, go ahead.
Yeah, so Ron, could you clarify for me, do we have, outside of the work that needs to be done, do we have any immediate plans with dates solidified for use of that rail car?
No dates in concrete at this point. The first thing we'll have to do is the Train Museum, and I can't remember the title of them, folks from Sacramento will have to come up and disassemble parts of the car to do an integrity check on the car itself, and it will have to be empty for that.
Have they provided a formal plan for what will be required? And
They have not. They've just offered to do it at this point, and it's all kind of hinged on how long somebody's going to be in there.
what I mean by that is when they say that they cannot have somebody occupying the car in order to do that, what I'm trying to understand is what the scope of disassembly is that they would need to do and the duration that they would need.
Yeah, they haven't talked about any of that.
Okay.
And that would probably depend on what they find once they get it taken apart. So what I imagine see this at is going to be like a bathroom. As soon as you take something down, open up a floor or a wall, you're going to remodel the whole bathroom.
Mhm. Okay, and so do we have reason to believe in the immediate term that the building poses a danger to anybody in its current condition?
I don't believe so. Joe and I looked at it last year and we didn't see anything that stuck out as a hazard.
Could you tell me what the expense is for us to allow it to be occupied at this time? I'm not talking about the offset in revenue, but the gross expense for it to be occupied, such as utilities and.
Well, I can't because the utilities are, the power is combined with all the rental property over there. The water is $55 a month. But I couldn't guarantee that that water only goes to that rail car either because there's
Yeah.
no plants or anything, so it could go somewhere else as well.
Makes sense.
So the combined power bill, I think last month was $2,400 for all the facilities over there.
And that includes the museum.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Talking with Tammy, rental property goes for about $1 a square foot. Talking to the historic train society over there, they say it's about 60 by 12.
Okay. I'll go ahead and relinquish the floor.
All right, Larry. I'll bring it back to you.
So we have no immediate plans, right, for this building, just to be clear?
That's correct.
And I'm not aware that this discussion started out. I think the date June 30th came about because of maybe we can get that long because our business license lasts that long. But I don't think our discussion is going to be limited to 8 months. I know that was Carolyn's thought, but that's not my thought. I think it's wide open for discussion. And I just want to say that one of the things that Colfax really needs is destination type businesses. And by destinations, I mean people come here only for that reason, and their business spills over into other places. And they are probably the best destination business we have in this town right now. So I think we should be supportive. You know, I can't say enough about Rob and Christine. I was going to joke with Rob about, is this your first time in front of a microphone? But Rob has performed in a band in front of 2 American presidents over the years, so he's been around a while. And music is part of what Aaron is trying to build in this community. And I think it's a great idea, and that we would be short-sighted if we're going to do anything other than, I would like to see us offer at least a year with an option to extend that both the city and them would have to agree to, and then communicate ahead of time, not wait till a really short time, and make sure that we plan for when that should end very carefully and very considerately. So that's my only comment.
Thank you, Larry. Kim?
Well, I have no objection to the extension that Carolyn mentioned of June. I'm also willing to entertain other ideas. So that's it.
Thanks. Any other comments from the council on this one?
I probably will. I'm just thinking.
Think fast.
Sorry.
It's getting late.
Let's see here. So with no immediate plans to use the car and no immediate danger from use of the car and no outline of the scope of what it would take for us to perform an assessment of the condition of the car, I don't find myself in an immediate hurry to vacate the car of tenancy. That would be my position at least. Personally, I'm in agreement that, you know, this is a long-term business, and it sounds like the biggest trouble presenting them is the fact that a lot of people, you know, outside of the people in this room might not be aware of how involved with the community they are or how important they are to the community. And I think that we may have some alternate measures we could take to mitigate that problem. For example, you know, they don't have a website. That's something that, you know, through some community volunteer work and donations, I think that there's a lot that could be done here to rectify any deficit there may be in the operating cost of the facility. So, under the current terms of their lease, I would be very comfortable with giving them a 12-month extension with the intention to renew after an additional negotiation. And then that way we have time to actually sit down at the table and figure out how we can help them. And if helping them means that there needs to be a temporary location that they can be moved to during construction, or even an alternate location if the car does happen to be in such bad repair, they can no longer operate from there. Just given their prevalence in the community and the fact that they do provide a service, I think that it would be prudent and I'd be happy as a council member to volunteer to help with this effort, just to try to figure out some game plans to keep them in business here.
All right, thank you. Any other comments from you guys? Carolyn?
Regardless if we decide to do an additional 8 months or a year, like Trinity has proposed, we of course have to look at the financial side of it as well. So currently, if I'm not missing anything, if I'm reading all these right, because of course we've got several leases in here. The current rent is supposed to be 500 minus the $100 a month for some of the maintenance that they were doing on the property. Yeah, in kind. I was gonna ask, Ron, you may be able to answer this for me. I was reading our previous lease on it, and it had a list of some things that they were supposed to take care of in this year. And I don't think we've ever talked about them to see if they had been completed. What page was it on? Hold on. I know there was something about the entranceway that they were supposed to work on. I just want to make sure that it was done, because it was in our previous lease agreement.
87?
Is it on 87? Thanks. I'm glad somebody's paying attention. Thanks, Connor. I was on 71. I was way off. So I just want to know if these things were taken care of, because obviously they had finished the windows that had been in agreement for several years to get those done. But there was, let's see, we had the landscaping, which we know they do that. We have the pressure washing of the exterior walls, roof, paint where needed, buff out areas. Am I looking at the right one? I remember reading something about the entranceway.
This is our last addendum. So this was the addendum we signed in.
Okay, I just want to make sure that in the last year that both sides have kept to the agreement of what was supposed to be done, because I know there were several things that we had gotten specific on with it.
So paragraph 6, landlord shall maintain roof, foundation, exterior walls, and common areas, and to coordinate bartered gardening with public works. And then, yeah.
Okay, what did I read about the entrance? I don't know, either way, have both sides of that been met? Are we all that you're aware of, Ron, we kept up on both sides of that agreement?
Yeah, I haven't inspected it because I was under the impression that we were gonna do some work to it this year, as it would be empty, so.
Right.
No, I wouldn't hold it against them if they hadn't.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure, because of course, if we're gonna to end up doing this lease, we need to make sure that those things were taken care of. If they so yeah, so either way, it was rent that we have right now is the 500 minus $100 a month. And I believe there's not any, from an agreement in 2010, there was an additional $30 for water and electricity. I think they're paying further, I'm sure the bills. That was the 2010 agreement, I'm sure. That's probably way than that, but yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I didn't think it was included, so basically right now, they're like, it's 400. But that includes water, power, so. But we don't, of course, talk about water. On the help. I just want to make sure that we're looking out for everybody's interest. You're thinking something, trying to go for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I just were to think through some quick numbers, I mean, on the high end, I would say it's costing us in the range of 20,000 a year. If I were to, do some high end math on that. The 20,000 a year does not seem like something that could not be easily resolved. I'm not saying that it needs to necessarily be resolved through a rental agreement. I think that there are some other avenues that we haven't looked into yet that we could potentially offset the costs of subsidizing this facility being used for this business. One such option being if we were to put in place like I had proposed at the last agenda, a trust fund related to, local music. We could establish a trust fund with the city and accept donations towards it to help with the subsidy. So with that being said, I'm not uncomfortable with the amount it may cost us right now to extend the lease.
All right.
Hey, Sean, just a short comment.
Real quick.
They're only there 2 days a week, so the cost of utilities of water and electricity there are probably very low and not a major or even significant part of the city's expenses for all those buildings.
True. The taxpayers are subsidizing the building somewhat though. So and subsidizing the business. So and that's been a longstanding thing, and you guys do a lot for the community. You guys offer super great, super inexpensive lessons to everybody and all the children, and it's a great thing that you guys do for sure. So not a complaint there, just pointing it out that the taxpayers of the community do subsidize this building and do the maintenance on the building, and we're paying for the water and stuff. With that, it doesn't sound, did you have a comment? All right, go ahead.
Are you guys a nonprofit? It's easier to subsidize a nonprofit than it is a.
They're not a 501c3. They can still be nonprofit, huh?
I think it's one of those things that I think we'll probably address on the side. Because, like the comment I had made on Facebook regarding this, there's a lot that we don't get to talk about publicly. I mean, obviously tonight we waived our right to be able to keep this behind closed doors, but there's a lot, if we put our heads together, we can either cut the amount that is subsidized or offset it or, find additional options. Yeah, so I just think that
Honor's gotta,
we're not limited.
yeah, we're supposed to stick to the lease agreement. So
Yeah, I have a modest proposal for not that kind of modest proposal, but month to month, 90-day notice on termination, something like that.
I would propose that we extend for at least a year and then go to a month to month following that, giving us time to come up with a new plan, negotiation, whatever it may be, so that if something else does come up that's of immediate interest and we're, looking for another location for them, or if the building's unsafe, we've got flexibility at that point, but I don't want to go month to month at this point is my place.
yeah, I'm gonna counter that with a proposal that we go with till the end of the business license. We start negotiating immediately instead of waiting until the end of the 6 months, and then we figure out where we're gonna go with that. So we guarantee the 6 months, we can go month to month after that, and during this whole 6 months, we will continue negotiations and making sure that everybody's got what they need and we're going in the right direction and you guys don't get blindsided, and we're prepared to do what we need to do in the future. So,
Well,
yeah, sorry, 8 months, yes, 8 months till the end of their business license, which comes out to about 8 months. So yeah, it wouldn't be just 6, yeah. Well, anytime in that 6 months, we could still have the option to give them a 90-day, and anytime after that will be a month to month unless negotiations are completed before that. So is that?
Well, and I'm going to say that that's the same direction I was going, because if we do a full year, then we're going to end up in the same conversation with the business license has another 8 months to go. And I think it would be easier if we put everything on the same cycle,
Right.
basically. So I would second your motion that we extend to their requested of the end of June of 2026. We, of course, can continue the conversations. I don't think it's a bad idea to consider adding the option of month to month afterwards. It's not an
And
agenda.
I'm asking for the month to month as a protection for you, for them to make sure that we're not gonna blindside them. Yeah, we don't end up in this situation again. Just in case negotiations don't get completed or something happens or the city drops the ball or we're not talking with the right people or something happens. So that's
So
my proposal.
just For the sake of Robert's Rules of Order, we didn't get a chance to hear if there was a second for mine, but normally we would take the second motion first. So was
I'm
there?
just feeling out proposals. I haven't even
Really?
made a motion.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah,
So
no,
I was,
I haven't motioned it, so you kind of proposed that. I'm proposing
Okay.
this. If anybody else wants to comment on these proposals, I'm hoping we can get a little bit closer to a single motion before we start having dual motions.
Yeah, I think a year at least. I see no reason. If we were ready to create a vacancy, why are we in such a rush? Vacancies cost a lot of money. We don't have the money right now that I'm aware of to repair that building. So what is the rush? We have no plan, no commitments. Why would we even want to shorten it to 8 months?
There are possible future plans for that building that could happen in the next 6 months. They're being vetted right now. We also need to do the inspections on them because we are negligent in inspecting the building and making sure it is safe to occupy. Over the 6 months, that gives everybody time to figure out what we need to do with the building, or if anything's actually gonna happen with the building, we can do the inspections on it, and then we can make sure that whatever we come up with is amicable in the term of that 6 months. Or I'm sorry, 8 months. It's not 6, it's 8 months. And that keeps their lease agreement in line with their business license too, so that they're not stuck without a business license and 3 more months on a lease. So that's kind of, or 4 more months on a lease. So that's kind of my thought. That helps bring everything in line, like Caroline was saying, and then we're on the same schedule. I don't think anybody here is looking to push them out. And that's not my intention. I don't think anybody else here is looking to do that. We want to make sure that they're happy, everybody's come to an amicable solution. And if we do end up having plans to, or need to do maintenance on that car beyond what can be done with them in there, that allows us the option to help them move someplace else or support their business as needed. To make sure that they're not left out in the cold. I don't want that to happen. And with the 6 months, we can easily work the entire process through. And if at the end of that 6 months, when we bring it back to council, it's not just going to drop their lease. We have the option to come back and extend it should they choose. And we can, or 8 months, and we can continue on. I keep saying 6, it's 8 months. And then we can continue on from there in a good cycle.
If it went to month at that point, theoretically, that could mean they need to leave in a month, right?
Okay, then, so we still leave the 90-day clause on there, but
Okay, the 90-day clause,
I'm
okay.
fine, and I'm also just putting the month to month on there, so just in case negotiations don't complete, or we miss something, or we just need more time for them, or whatever, when we come to that point, at least we already have a mechanism in place for them to continue that until we come to another agreement. And they won't be stuck in this position again, where it's November, we forgot to tell you that your lease is up, and we have future plans.
Well, I think you just touched on a really important point there. And when it comes to, we've been neglectful in inspecting the building, we've been neglectful with this, that, and the next thing. We were neglectful in the communication stream with them. And the reality of moving a business is that it's not a short process any more than government making decisions and bringing someone in new is a short process. And so that really is where I feel that 12 months and then month to month for me personally is kind of where I'm putting my feet in the ground, because I do not see it being feasible in less than a 12-month period to reestablish in a new location unless there is an emergency circumstance that forces it. So that's kind of where I'm sitting. Total respect for what you're saying. I just think that the 12-month extension makes more sense to me. And because business permits are so easy to renew, it for me is a complete non-issue whether or not their business license is in sync with their rental agreement. To me, that's non-material.
It's fine.
I'm in the same place 1 year, month to month, but at least 90 days notice.
Okay, do we want to have any more discussion on this? No? You guys got an idea what you want?
I could go with either 8 months or 12 months.
We get some direction on the. Oh, okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay.
We'll focus on one thing at a time.
Uh-huh.
I would go ahead and propose that we make no modifications at this time to the financial aspects, because again, frankly, parsing them out with the others is very inseparable. But the reality is that the number of labor hours spent when you do even the conservative math and assume that it's 20,000 a year, when you think of minimum wage hours and how many hours it takes to do the maintenance, I mean, you're talking $350 a year if you hire professional maintenance. If we have our people doing the maintenance, that's also going to be expensive. So frankly, I'm okay with the financial terms as they stand for their obligations. I do think that there is more that needs to be done outside of the realm of this agreement. So it's a different conversation, but I am happy with the current terms for the time being.
Okay.
And I am as well.
I don't have any problem with the current dollar amounts right now. That can be handled in negotiations later. It's just basically trying to figure out, or for right now, I'd like to just figure out whether we're gonna do 8 months or a year for the lease, whether we're gonna include a 90-day clause, or if we just have the right to terminate right away with no notice. When 30 days required under law, no additional notice other than what's required under the law. And what was the third thing? Oh, man, I just totally,
I take notes and scribble.
just too caught up in the conversation. Okay, so we need to figure out whether we're gonna do 8 or 12 months. Well, we're not gonna change the terms. Sorry, no comments on this anymore. Nope, everybody had their chance before we got on.
So
Can't.
8, so 8 or 12, and then it's the conversation if we're gonna do the month to month with a 90-day.
Right, whether or not we're gonna do 90-day termination notice for both parties,
Okay.
or and then whether or not we're gonna do a month to month after the end of the lease, which I think as an option, I think is a good protection for them and allows us to extend it and them to request for an extension without having to come back to council for a vote or anything. So Trinity, since I stepped over your suggestions for a motion, would you like to make the first motion and we can put it to a vote?
What's up?
Let's just I want to add all these points to make sure we've got it.
Yeah, so I will go ahead and make a motion that we extend the lease for a 12-month period, that after the 12-month period, the lease moves to month. And in the terms of the lease, there is a required 90-day noticing period, regardless of whether it's during the 12-month or the month-to-month period. And no changes to the current financial obligations within the agreement.
And I second that motion. And I lost one more thing. I guess we would go on to discuss this a little bit.
Hold on. Yeah.
Just a second.
Yeah, hold on.
You got both Sean and Connor.
Yes, and I chicken scratch, so it's really hard.
Yeah, I don't want to add any detail,
Hold
but
on.
maybe the
Just hold-
bonders
just
could
hold
have
on.
one
Just
more
hold on,
chance.
please, hold on. Your comment. Don't make me tap the gavel.
Councilmember Burris has made a motion to extend the lease for 12 months. After that 12-month term has ended, the term will shift to month. The city will be required to give 90 days notice to the tenant prior to terminating the lease.
Tenant will be required to give 90 days also.
Both parties, okay. Both parties will be required to give 90 days notice before terminating the agreement, and there will be no change to the current price term of, or the current lease amount, rental amount of $500 with, is it?
$100 for maintenance.
Minus 100 for
That's correct.
maintenance.
And are you okay with adding that none of the other lease terms will change except for what's mentioned?
That is correct. None of the other lease terms will change. We're going to keep keep them as they are right now under that proposal. So that way at least there's nice solid window of time. If we come up with a plan, we have lots of opportunity to make sure we're all on the same page. And if we have to get a new location for them, then those of us who are willing to volunteer helping with that have time to help.
That's too much.
All right, is there,
Yeah.
is there any discussion of Councilmember Burris's motion? Councilmember Hilberg.
I mean, since we're all in the room, if we're going to have a discussion,
It's a discussion of the pending motion.
He did second.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, perfect. No more discussion then. We have a second.
let's take a vote.
We're gonna do a roll call vote because I want to make sure we get this right and not just have ayes and nays flying.
Aye.
Yeah, oh,
What?
German for yes.
Be clear.
Why be clear? Why change things now?
Okay, let me start again. I wasn't mic'd up. Okay, Councilmember Burris,
Yes.
Councilmember Douglas.
Yes.
Councilmember Hilberg,
yes.
Mayor Pro Tem McCully.
Yes.
Mayor Loman.
I was gonna say nay because I really wanted to see the 8 months, but I'll go yes. Because there's no point. So we're good.
Thank you. Motion passes.
It passes. We're all good. And again, the 8 months was only just to line it up with the business license. There's no intention to kick them out. So great.
You just approved a 12-month extension.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Yes. No, yes. Sorry. I'm trying to confuse you now. It's getting him.
Sean's just trying to clarify
Okay,
that he's
so-
not eager to be booting anybody, and I get
Okay,
it.
motion passes. We have approved a 12-month extension. We did it publicly.
Yeah.
I hope that works for you guys and we'll continue on with negotiations. Thank you. All right. Are there any other comments from the council? Everybody good to adjourn? All right. Meeting adjourned. 9:14.